Hey my watchers, welcome. Today we are gonna see. What if Naruto was in Justice League and married Mari? A loud bang is heard followed by angry yelling. It gets closer as a young blonde 5-year-old runs through the halls of a large mansion. Mommy, he yells as he spots a red-haired woman with a katana standing in the living room. Blood gushes everywhere as she yanks the sword out of a body. Naru-chan, thank Kami, she gasped out as she rushes toward her son and brings him into a tight embrace. She looks him in the eye. Remember that jutsu I told you I would use in a situation like this? Naruto gives a small nod as tears start to fall. I understand, Ka-san. I have no friends anyway. It's better this way. Kushina kisses his forehead as they become surrounded by angry villagers, armed with a variety of different weapons. This is the end of the line for you, demon wench and your offspring. The man said as they all ready their weapons. Naru-chan, hold on to me, Kushina whispered. Naruto grabs onto her pants leg as she does quick hand signs at a pace Naruto never thought possible. Get them, the leader of the crowd yelled. As they rush forward, a blinding light stops them. Once the light clears, both Kushina and Naruto are gone, never to appear in the shinobi world again. As the crowd searches around for the child and his mother, a very old and angry voice makes their presence known and causes their blood to run cold. What is the meaning of this? The old man has white hair and a long beard. He glances around the mansion, before looking back at the leader of the crowd. Well, behind the old man, several men and women in white animal masks look around in concern then look at the crowd in anger. They are dog, snake, cat, weasel and bear. The leader of the crowd steps forward in a brave or a stupid manner, depending on who you are. We are just finishing what the fourth Hokage started, he said with an air of confidence. By killing his wife and son. The old Hokage replied while leaking killing intent. The leader of the crowd sweats a little, but doesn't back down. The monsters just used a disguise to trick us. Oh, really? The old man said, stopping his killing intent. The leader of the crowd smirks, until he hears the next word. Anbu. Take them to the Anbu headquarters. If they resist, kill them. The Anbu members smirk under their mask. Even the very young weasel has a cold, but bloodthirst smirk. With pleasure, Dog said as they all jumped forward. Dog kicks the supposed leader of the crowd in the leg. A loud crack is heard followed by a cry of anguish. Snake, bear. The Hokage commanded as he saw Snake impale a kunai into a man's jugular, while Bear slams someone's head onto the nearest table, clearly breaking his nose, or his neck. The old Hokage couldn't tell, not that he really cared. Sir, both Snake and Bear replied as they both appeared in front of him. The old man gently rubs his beard as he replies. I want both of you to interrogate these monsters when you return to Anbu headquarters. He suddenly turns around and thrusts a kunai into the heart of a man sneaking up on him with a rusty old katana. I want both of you to retire from Anbu duties. But sir, Snake started. No buts. I want you both to be in charge of a new department. The old man sighed as he watched Dog, Cat and Weasel kill a few more people, before seeing the others surrender. New department, Bear said as he and Snake look at each other. Yes, the I&T department. Both Snake and Bear develop a question mark above their heads. The interrogation and torture department. The old man could practically feel the sadistic smirk appearing on both Bear and Snake's face as they both join their team-up. Taze in restraining the rest of the crowd. The old man looks to where Kushina's and Naruto's chakra was at before vanishing. Looks like you finally used it, Kushina. He looks around at the mansion. Reaver you two are. I know you'll both be happy. He walks over to a panel in the wall and types a few digits on it. I guess the Uzumaki and Namikaze lines are gone from this world. But as long as Naru-Han lives a long and happy life, then it's worth it. As he walks away from the mansion, it explodes in a huge fireball. Gotham City. A limo drives through a dark country road. Suddenly a bright light appears in a field on the right, causing the limo to swerve and come to a stop, leaving black skid marks on the road. The door opens and a young man steps out. Young master, are you sure it's safe? An old voice comes from the driver's seat. The young man shakes his head. You worry too much, Alfred. The man then begins running toward the field. Besides, someone could be hurt. As he runs through the field, he comes across a large crater. He glances around until he comes across something red. Without thinking, he dives into the crater and slides down, causing a small dust storm to appear. Once he reaches the object, he notices it's a beautiful young woman with red hair. As he looks in her arms, he notices a small child around 4 or 5 being snuggled by the woman. He reaches them and checks their pulse. Both alive, thank God. He reaches into his pocket and pulls out a walkie-talkie. "Alfred, I need a little help. And bring a medical kit." A groan can be heard, as a red-haired woman opens her eyes. Glancing down at her clothing, she notices a completely different wardrobe. Her eyes widen as she glances around for her son. "I see you're finally awake." Kushina quickly turns toward the voice, noticing a young man wearing a business suit and holding a glass of water. She reaches for her kunai, only to remember she's wearing different clothing. "Whoa, I mean you no harm." He hands her the glass and she sniffs it a few times before downing it. "As for your clothes, a female friend of mine cleaned you up. You were kind of bloody." "Where am I?" she asked in a raspy voice. And where is my son?" Bruce takes a seat on the edge of the bed. "You're at my place. I am Bruce Wayne." He notices she doesn't react to his name. "And as for your child, he's resting in the room down the hall." "Is he okay?" she asked while putting the glass on the nightstand. "He's just fine. Now I want to why you both were in that crater and covered in blood." Bruce asked in a demanding tone. "I cuss." Hina takes a deep breath and wonder if she should tell the truth. She decides to tell him everything and hopes he won't send her to some asylum. Blue eyes snap open as the owner sits up with a yawn. "Ah, I see you're awake," an old voice said in front of him. The man wears a tuxedo and carries a tray of food. His eyes open wide as he glances around for his mom. "I do not mean you any harm." He sets the tray of food in front of Naruto. "As for your mother, she's in the room down the hall talking to Master Bruce." Naruto calms down and looks at the food. He picks up the fork and looks at it in curiosity. "That's a fork, young one." He then takes the fork and shows him how to use it. What types of utensils do you use where you come from?" Naruto takes the napkin and wipes his mouth. "We use chopsticks." "Chopsticks? I believe we have some in the kitchen." He takes the tray of food and gently grabs the boy's hand. "Come, let us head to the kitchen." Naruto follows Alfred down the hall and pauses as he hears his mother's voice. Kushina lets out a sigh as she finishes her tale. "They despised your son, because he has a demon sealed in his stomach." Bruce runs his hands through his hair. "That's really stupid if you ask me. I mean, if he was some bloodthirsty demon, then what's to stop him from slaughtering everybody?" "Yeah, I was the original container of the Kyuubi, but because of my chakra and a famous healer, I managed to survive when it was released." She wipes some tears from her eyes. "I hate to think what might have happened had I died." "I believe you," Bruce said, causing Kushina to widen her eyes. He chuckles slightly. "Trust me, in this world stranger thing have happened." He stands up and stretches. "You two can stay here as long as you want." Kushina stands up as well and gives a bow. "Thank you." Bruce waves her off. "It's nothing. Besides, I've always wanted a little brother. Don't expect me to mother you," Kushina said with a small glare. Bruce chuckles and walks to the door. "Come, let's see if your son is awake yet." Kushina and Bruce both enter the kitchen only to see Naruto chucking a bowl of ramen into his mouth and Alfred standing next to him looking amazed. Kushina lets out a small laugh that causes Naruto to stop eating and looks toward her. Before anyone can blink, he appears before her and hugs her like his life depending on it. "Mom," he said through his tears as he grips her shirt. "The jutsu, it worked." "It sure did, it sure did." She kisses the top of his head. "And Bruce here offered to be your older brother." This caused Naruto's eyes to widen and Alfred to raise his eyebrows. "And if he calls me mom or grandma, then I'm kicking his butt." Both Alfred and Bruce burst out laughing and Naruto releases a happy smile for the first time in his life. "I'm still in my 20s, that makes me the second oldest one here." She lets out an evil laugh before she sees a bowl of ramen on the kitchen counter. Before anyone can say anything, She appears before the steaming noodles and starts digging in. But first, the food of the gods. She finished with a burp. The earlier morning sun begins to rise over Gotham City. A quiet morning, except for the sounds of sirens. And the streets are empty except for a man wearing an Arkham prison uniform. The man runs down the street. He lets out a sigh of relief as he ducks down a dark alley. He slowly peeks around the corner just as a police car zooms by. Safe, he says as he backs up. Going deeper in the dark alley. The morning sun lights up a little of it, but leaves the back pitch dark. A cat hissing deeper in the alley causes him to jump and hold his hand over his heart. Just as he calms down, the sound of small feet scampering around is heard in the alley, causing him to lose his breath. Who's there? He calls out as he regains his breath. He glances around before he starts to walk slowly into the alley after hearing another police car go by. The sound of a trash can falling over causes him to jump again. He looks around only to spot a yellow cat running under his legs and out of the alley. Ah, just a cat. A little cat, he said with a small laugh completely missing a shadow moving in the alley. He takes a deep breath, then turns around and starts walking out of the alley. Before he reaches the end, he turns around after hearing a flapping sound. Seeing nothing, he turns around, only to meet with a black-gloved hand. Batman glances around the alley. Watchtower. This is Batman. He ties the man's hands together. I've caught another escapist from Arkham. Any idea how they escaped? Good job, Batman. As for how they escaped, the male voice on the transmitter started. It appears the Joker busted them out. Batman balls up his fist causing he sound of leather to reverberate throughout the alley. Any idea what he's planning? Batman said as he tries to calm his nerves. Sorry, Batman. I'm afraid I don't know. The voice said. It will wait. I believe Superman wants all of us to regroup at the Watchtower. All right, I'm on my way. Batman said as he presses his finger against his masked ear. Alfred. Any word on Kushina? Static is heard for a brief second. She and the young master have just returned from their vacation in Japan, and it appears that there has been some modifications to Naruto's suit. Batman Chuck. Cleese then uses his grappling hook to reach the roof as police sirens are heard nearing the alley. Hey, that sounds like him, all flashy, hope he and the Flash don't meet. He then runs across the rooftop. Where is he now? Good one, sir, the old butler said with a small laugh. The young master is currently at Arkham helping Commissioner Gordon, although I believe he is still mad at Naruto for hitting on his daughter. Understood. He lets out a grunt as he leaps from a rooftop onto another. I was hoping to test his martial arts skills. He continues to leap from the rooftop to rooftop, thankful of Kushina for teaching him some techniques. Watchtower. A man with green skin glances out the window, staring at the vastness of space. He is John Jones, aka the Martian Manhunter. Footsteps is heard behind him as Superman steps beside him. He glances at the stars. Batman is on his way, and the others have just arrived. Jean said without Superman saying anything. Y turns toward the Man of Steel and raises his eyebrows. And for some reason, I sense excitement in Batman. I wonder why. Superman lets out a small laugh. I believe I know the reason why. He gives Jean a wink as he turns around. But for now, let's all meet in the Hall of Justice. After waiting in the hall for 10 minutes, everyone is gathered around the round table. Jean, Superman, the Green Lantern, Batman, Wonder Woman, Hawkgirl and the Flash. What's up, sups? The Flash said with his arms crossed. The Man of Steel glances at each of his fellow superheroes. As you all know, Superman started as a digital screen appears behind him. On it is a large digital image of the Earth. Red starts to cover the land and green spots start scattering around. Crime has risen drastically. He indicates the red spots. What does the green spots indicate, if I may ask? Diana asks with Hawkgirl nodding along with her. They indicate superhero activity. Clark answers. Whoa, sure are a lot of super freaks. Flash exclaims as he appears in front of the screen. Ooh, there's several in Gotham, and a ton in Metropolis, and... We get it, Flash. Batman interrupts. He turns to Superman while Flash continues his rambling. You want to start recruiting, don't you? Clark smiles. Yeah, Heroes are popping up everywhere and so are supervillains. He lets out a sigh. It's best we all team up and become a true Justice League. Well said, Batman said with a nod. And I know the perfect person we can recruit. Who? Wonder Woman asks as she tilts her head. My little brother, Batman replies. Flash suddenly stops talking and appears next to Bruce with a raised eyebrow. You have a brother, Clark chuckles. Indeed he does. He helps me and Lois out from time to time. Though he can be a bit perverted. Batman finishes with a sigh. What's his superhero name? Maybe we heard of him. Hawkgirl asks as she frowns hearing the perverted part. Well, he goes by a lot of names, thanks to the media. Batman replied with a smirk. But the most common one is Arkham Asylum. Fox, a tall gray-haired man with glasses and a brown trench coat calls out. He walks down a hallway lined with cells. As he walks down the hall, he spots a man wearing a crimson suit with black lines running down the arms. A pair of katanas crisscrossed on his back, the hilts black with a gold dragon on it and the sheath is dark red with golden fox on it, swirling around a black dagger. A mask covering the lower half of his face. His blonde hair in spikes. His ocean blue eyes fixed on the woman before him. On his chest is a black circle with a red silhouette of a fox with 9 tails behind it. And a strange-looking watch on his left wrist. Gordon lets out a cough in his fist, which startles the female guard. Back to your post. The woman quickly obeys and rushes past Gordon with a quick wave to Fox. Yo, he managed to say with an eye smile. What's up, James? Have you found anything yet? Gordon said, while looking at the now empty hall. No. But I heard Batman just caught another escapist. Fox replied. What I don't understand is why would the Joker bust out goons only? Why not supervillains? We will never be able to understand what goes on in that lunatic's head. Gordon replied as he walks down the hall with Fox following. What about Poison Ivy? Is she still locked up? Fox said as they reach an empty office. Gordon takes a seat behind the desk. He picks up a remote and pushes a button and the TV on the desk comes on. On the TV is a large dome with plants in it and a beautiful red-haired woman in a revealing outfit. I believe that answers that question. Gordon pushes another button and another image comes up. It might have been a diversion to distract the cops while something big is going down. My thoughts exactly. He presses several buttons on his watch, getting a confused look from the commissioner. Batman isn't the only one with cool gadgets. Fox lets out a grin, which Gordon could easily tell was there. I just sent the info I learned to Batman. Gordon nods his head at the logic, until a question comes to him. Have you ever fought the Joker before? Personally. Gordon nods his head. No. But I have fought with that cute follower of his. She packs a punch. He gently rubs his masked cheek. I must go. Let me or Batman know if anything comes up. Gordon nods. Will do. Fox starts walking toward the door. How's your mother? Naruto. Naruto turns his head slightly. A 13-year-old Naruto looks at the man sitting in front of him. They are sitting in an office. A woman with blonde hair closes the door, leaving both males in the room. Naruto. Why did you beat the kid into a coma? The man said with a frown. With your skills, he could have died. Naruto looks down at his hands. He was bullying a female classmate. He looks up at the man in front of him. I hate it when men beat up women for no reason. The man gives Naruto a warm smile. At least you did it for a good reason. But I still have to call your mother. The man gets up and ruffles the blonde's hair. Tell me, what do you want to do when you grow up? Naruto scratches his head for a little while before looking up at the man. I want to defend the innocent, and stop bad guys. I want to be something similar to you. You mean like a cop? Or a superhero? The young boy nods his head slowly. We usually look down at vigilantes. But, maybe you help out. Naruto snaps his head up at that. But we'll have to keep this a secret. You may tell Kushina or Bruce, but I understand. Thanks, Mr. Gordon. Naruto said with a bow of the head. Please, call me James, Naruto. Naruto looks up at Gordon, who is wearing a standard blue police uniform, and gives him a wide smile. She's doing great, James. With that Naruto leaves the office. James gives a small smile after he left. Naruto walks outside Arkham and past some of the guards. He gives a wink as he passes a female guard. He smiles as he spots a small blush. He walks past a group of police cars and walks up to a crimson motorcycle. On one side is the kanji for love and the other side is the kanji for justice. On the orange seat is a black fox head stitched on it. The tires are orange as well. He spots a group of cops checking out the bike. What do you think? He asks, causing the cops to jump. Once they regain their bearings, they decide to ask questions. What kind of bike is it? What do those symbols mean? What's with the orange tires? Naruto lets out a chuckle as he takes a seat on the bike. I made it myself based on the concept of a Kawasaki Ninja 250R. He answered, getting looks of awe. And those symbols are Japanese kanji. This one means love and the other means justice. As for the orange tires, he started as the cops start leaning forward. I love orange. Once he said that, the cops grow a sweat drop. Then what's with the red costume? Oh, that, the person who designed my suit refused to make it orange. And cue larger sweat drop. Naruto revs up the bike and speeds off, leaving dumbstruck cops in his wake. The motorcycle speeds down the road. Blonde hair swaying in the wind. The morning sun bounces off of the suit, causing the other drivers temporarily blindness. A beeping sound is heard from his watch. He pulls on the side of the road and presses a button on his watch. An image of a beautiful red-haired woman appears. Naruto, you missed breakfast. Sorry, Mom. Naruto rubs the back of his head. James needed my help over at Arkham. Kushina sighs at that, then suddenly smiles. Oh, almost forgot. Bruce wants you to meet with the Justice League. I wonder why. Naruto asks as he spots a group of cheerleaders waving at him, blushing and giggling. He winks at them. Since I'm getting bored sitting around, I'll pick you up in my newly designed Fox jet and we'll meet the League together. Kushina said as the screen goes black. Fox jet? That is so like Mom. Naruto lets out a sigh as he pulls back onto the road. After 5 minutes of driving, he spots a large jet parked on an empty baseball field. He pulls into the field and gets a look at the aptly named Fox jet. The jet itself is black with an orange and menacing fox with 9 tails painted on the side. Whoa, awesome. Glad you like it. Had to keep it hidden from you and Bruce until I finished, Kushina said as she steps down on the now lowered ramp. She wears a black t-shirt and blue jeans. How the hell did she keep this hidden from us? Naruto, though, with wide eyes. He shakes his head as he drives up the ramp. Kushina goes back inside and pushes a button that causes the ramp to close. Once off the motorcycle, Naruto walks around, taking notice of all the seats. He then opens a door to his right and his eyes widen as he spots an arsenal of gadgets. He shakes his head and walks toward the cockpit and sits in the passenger seat. Not this time, sweetheart, it's time for you to learn to fly, Kushina said with a smirk as she appears in the cockpit. Really? Naruto asks as he slowly slides into the pilot's seat. Kushina nods as she takes the passenger's seat. Naruto presses a button and the jet starts to hover off the ground. Naruto shakily grabs the wheel and slowly pulls up. Kushi. Na smiles as he starts to fly past the building. Oh, and try not to destroy the watchtower. Naruto suddenly jerks the wheel, causing him to nearly hit a building. He turns to glare at his mother, when a question comes to him. How are we going to go there? Kushina gives a smirk. I built this based on the javelin concepts. Where did you get the money for it? Naruto asked. Wayne Enterprises. Bruce trusted me enough for this new invention, even though he had not idea what I was doing. Kushina replied as they start reaching the atmosphere. I always wanted to go into space, thanks Mom, he said softly as they reach space. Kushina gives a warm smile. Anything for you, sweetheart, she whispered as she looks around at the vastness of space. Watchtower. An alarm is heard blaring. Red lights start flashing. Everyone appears in front of the huge monitor. What is it, Jean? Superman asked. It appears that a ship is approaching us. Jean answered as the ship appears on the screen. Everyone takes notice of the menacing fox, as if it's looking into their souls. Now that's creepy. Hawkgirl deadpanned, with Flash nodding at that. Batman and Clark both chuckle. Looks like we won't have to pick up my little brother. Batman stated, causing everyone but Clark and Jean to grow wide eyes. Open the hangar, Jean. With that, Batman walks out of the room, followed closely by the Man of Steel. The remaining heroes looks at each other before taking off after Batman. At the hangar, both Superman and Batman inspect the jet. Interesting. This must be what Kushina was working on. As the ramp begins to lower, the other heroes arrive and look at the ship in awe. Two figures walk down the ramp and toward them. One wearing a red costume and the other in a pair of regular clothing. The woman pulls Batman into a hug. How was your vacation? Batman asked as he was released. It was interesting to say the least. Kushina answered as Batman gives Fox a quick hug. We went to an anime convention in Naruto. Here flirted with almost every girl there. Hey, Naruto yelled out indignant. Good to see you again, Naruto. Clark said as he shakes Naruto's hand. And I love the new suit. You too, Clark. And thanks, Naruto said. He then looks at the others behind Clark. He glances at Diana and froze. Talk about a goddess. He shakes his head and extends his hand. Name's Naruto Uzumaki, otherwise known as Fox, and this is my mother and a pretty good inventor. Kushina Uzumaki. Princess Diana, Wonder Woman, she said, shaking both of their hands. Nice to meet you both. Hawkgirl steps forward and extends her hand. Share a hole. Call me Hawkgirl. Pretty name, Naruto said, shaking her hand. Kushina nods in agreement. The Flash steps forward in a blur of red. Wicked costume. Flash eagerly shakes both their hands. I'm Wally West, otherwise known as the Great and Powerful. Flash. The Green Lantern steps forward. John Stewart. The Green Lantern. Jean steps forward with a small bow. Jean Jones. I look forward to working with you both. Likewise, Naruto said, returning a bow. Let's go back to the Hall of Justice, Superman said as he starts walking. 2 hours later in the Hall of Justice, Naruto lets out a sigh as he looks around at the assembled heroes. You want to expand the Watchtower and recruit more heroes like me? Naruto asks as he sees them nod. What the hell? Could be fun since I'm teamed up with two goddess. A slap to the head causes him to glare at his mother, who is looking back with an innocent expression. Before she suddenly slaps the back of his head. Three goddess, three goddess. He rubs the back of his head, as she finally stops slapping him. Diana sports a light blush. She answers at Naruto, who is pouting at his mother. What is this feeling? Hawkgirl just turns her head in a huff as she tries to hide her blush. Great. Another flash. Superman clears his throat. Everyone turns to him. Naruto. Me and Batman told everyone what you are capable, but I think it's better if you show them, Superman said as he motions to Jean. There is a high-speed chase going down in Colorado. 3 cars. The thugs are heavily armed. The cops have pulled off the pursuit. Jean said with his eyes closed. Up for it, Bruce said with a smirk. You bet, your jet or mine, Naruto said with a matching smirk. Batman begins walking out the door. Yours. Naruto quickly rushes after him as Kushina yells out a quick shotgun, which causes Flash to groan and Diana to wonder what that means. As the jet hovers above the 3 cars, which are recklessly driving cars off the road, a man sticks his head out the window with a shotgun in his hand. He cocks it and fires at a nearby car, causing it to crash into the ditch. Inside the jet, the ramp lowers and the heroes peer at the ground below. Now that's a drop, the Flash said as he holds onto Hawkgirl, so he won't fall. How are you getting down there? His reply was the rev of the engine, causing everyone to look at Naruto, who was giving them a smirk before speeding toward them. The heroes dive to the side as Naruto speeds down the ramp and free falls toward the ground. As the motorcycle gets closer toward the ground, a blue glow surrounds the tires and the seat. The League members watch in awe as the blue glow continues to surround certain parts of the bike. It's called chakra. Kushina answers the unspoken question as she joins them. It's an ability that only me and Naruto can use. Ah, that sucks, Flash said with a frown. He looks back toward Naruto as he reaches the ground. As the bike gets closer, Naruto grips the handle tightly. Without warning, the bike slams into the pavement, causing concrete to fly up and cracks to appear in the road. Naruto watches the pavement fly past him as if in slow motion. He lightly slaps away a piece flying near his face. He revs the engine and vanishes in a red blur, causing pieces of the road to come undone. Back above, the others can only gape. So fast, Hawkgirl whispered. On his bike, Naruto is almost as fast as you, Flash. Kushina said with Batman nodding in agreement. We put seals all over the bike, that way it won't disintegrate. Back on the road, the red blur slows down as he approaches the cars. His blue eyes glancing at each car, formulating a plan. A man in the backseat of the third car looks behind him. Fox pops a wheelie as he comes up behind them. Shit, it's a costumed freak. The one in the driver's seat glances in the rear view mirror. He notices the red costume and sword. Ah, that's the Fox. He screams, as he turns toward the man in the passenger side. What the hell is he doing in Colorado? The man in the passenger side grips his Uzi. He leans out and aims the weapon, only to notice Fox is standing on the bike. His sword's poised in front of him. He grins as he aims the Uzi at the tires. He fires. The bullets strike the tires, only for them to bounce off. Wah! He then aims the weapon at Fox and fires. Naruto lowers one sword and deflects a bullet. To him, everything is moving slow. But to the thugs and the members of the League, excluding Kushina, he is moving his arms faster than the Flash. While deflecting the bullets, he glances at the other two cars. He grins as a plan forms. He then ECTS a bullet and directs it toward the second car. The bullet strikes the driver's side tire. The car swerves and slams into the first car, sending both of them off the road. Naruto looks at the car in front of him, then holds up the sword in his right hand as it begins to glow blue. Once he reaches the car, he swings the sword. The thugs all blink, then check themselves for injuries. Not finding any, they start laughing, until the sound of metal creaking and groaning is heard. Without warning, the back end of the car, along with the back tires, suddenly fall away, leaving the car to slow to a stop and the thugs gaping. Naruto jumps back down onto the seat and slams on the brakes, causing a skid mark to appear on the road. He steps off the bike and dusts off his pants. The thugs scramble out of the destroyed car. They look for their friends only to see cops and the rest of the Justice League arresting them. The thug with an Uzi aims it at Fox only to have it click. He throws it to the ground and nods toward the only thug with a loaded weapon. He aims the shotgun at Fox, only to notice him gone. The next thing he knows is a sharp pain in the knee, causing him to drop the shotgun. And another pain in the back of the neck causing him to black out. The other two thugs quickly turn around and start to run. Fox suddenly appears in front of them. The first thug throws a punch which Naruto catches. At the same time, the second thug throws a kick which Naruto catches in his free hand. Naruto smirks at his opponents. He suddenly twists his hands causing a popping sound to be heard and both thugs screaming in pain. He throws both thugs onto the ground. That was awesome, Flash said as he and the others near Fox. Kushina touches both thugs on the neck and they stop screaming. She then suddenly puts Naruto in a headlock. That's my boy. What did you do to them? Diana asked. Oh, just hit a pressure point on their necks. Kushina is swerved as she rubs her cheek against Naruto's, while he tries to get away. So, did I pass? Naruto asked as Kushina finally releases him. The League members just give him a smile. Wayne Manor 2 days later. Grunting his herd, followed by metal clashing against metal. Two shirtless blondes around 19 charges at each other. Spark fly as their blades hit. One blonde swings his sword, the other one blocks but grunts as he was pushed back. Suddenly the blonde being pushed back launches a kick sending his opponent back. He then charges and ducks as a sword swings past his head. He then thrusts his sword forward and it stabs into his opponent. Said opponent looks down in shock before exploding into smoke, with a light pop. Sweat drips down Naruto's head, which he quickly wipes off. That's the last time I go easy on a clone. Clapping is heard on the sidelines. A man in a tuxedo walks over to him and hands him a towel. Thanks, Alfred. Naruto wipes the sweat from his body and places the towel over his shoulder. Any idea what Mom is doing? I heard a lot of noises coming from her workshop, and some explosions. I believe Madame Kushina is working on an EMP weapon. Alfred said as they walked out of the training room. He turns to Naruto. Where does she get her ideas? Before Naruto can say something, a scream is heard. It's alive. Alive. The woman's voice screamed before an explosion is heard. Well, it was alive. Kushina finished. She watches a lot of horror and sci-fi movies. Naruto said with a sweat drop. Both Alfred and Naruto quickly walk away from the terrifying sounds. I hope this chapter didn't disappoint anyone who thought I might have gone in a different direction. On the last chapter I forgot to mention the ages. Naruto is around 19. Bruce was 16 on the last chapter. Since this is 13 years later, he is around 29. And Kushina was 24 last chapter and 37 this chapter. As for the reason why Kushina acts the way she does, is mainly because she doesn't have to worry about someone trying to kill her child every 5 minutes. In a new world, she can finally be herself and relax. The reason for calling Naruto the fox is mainly because since people don't fear foxes in this world, they're taking advantage of it. Since this is I'm ignoring a lot of stuff that happens in the comics and the Justice League Unlimited TV show. So you may see a character that originally dies come back. I also de-aged Diana. She is in her early 20s. So is Cheetah, and still thinking on the pairings. Will likely still be a Naruto-Cheetah pairing, since I have a thing for furries. But I'm also leaning towards Wonder Woman. And I'm not really that good at action scenes, but I hope I'll improve. I'm pretty much playing this story by ear. And I also like my stories to have episodic chapters. Meaning each chapter has its own storyline and I don't really like to have cliffhangers. If anyone has any suggestions on what hero should join the league next, feel free to tell me in a review. Or what type of stuff you want to see in the story. Any help is appreciated. A 6-year-old Naruto looks down at the book in front of him. He sits on the bed, in the lap of his mother, who is also reading a book. One entitled, Modern Inventions. Mom, English is hard. Naruto pouted. I know sweetheart, but the jutsu I used to get us here, it only let us speak English. Kushina said with a sigh. You're starting school soon, so we have to get you caught up. After a few minutes of reading the book, he looks up at his mother. Will you start teaching me jutsu soon? I don't see why you would need it in this world. Naruto looks down at that. But, he snaps his head back up. I will teach you all the jutsu I know, including the ones I never showed anyone in the ninja world. But, only if you learn English before school starts. Alright, Naruto shouts while pumping his arm in the air. He then looks at his mother with a question mark on his head. How did you learn English so fast? Clones. Kushina said simply with a smile. Leaving Naruto to pout. Gotham. Present day. The sounds of glass shattering is heard, followed by an alarm, shattering the quiet night of Gotham. At a jewelry store, a woman, and wearing goggles and a purple suit that shows a bit of cleavage, stands near broken glass. In her hand is a purple gem, that seems to glow and pulsate with power. She squeezes the pulsating gem and a blue shock wave comes out, completely destroying the store and stopping the alarm. Glass falls to the floor. The woman begins to load up the jewelry into a bag, smirking as she does so. As she finishes, she kisses the purple gem, and stuffs it between her breast. That's my baby. She then glances around the store with a smile. She turns around, only to gasp and nearly drop her cargo, as Fox appears in front of her. His face nearly touching hers. Yo, he said with a quick wave. Could you please put the jewelry back? Meow. Long time no see, Fox. Catwoman managed to say, but, I'm gonna have to say, no. With that, Catwoman leans backwards and pushes up on her hands, doing a backflip and catching Fox on the chin. Fox stumbles back and rubs his chin. Bad kitty, he grumbles out as he turns away from Catwoman, lowers his mask and spits out some blood from his busted lip. Behind Fox, Batman comes walking in, glass crunching beneath his feet. He glances at Fox and shakes his head. 2-on-1, kinky. But not really fair, Catwoman said with a smirk. Batman crosses his arms. Selina, he glances around the damaged store. What, not happy to see me, Bruce? Selina asks. As she hefts her bag of stolen goods over her shoulder. Well, love to stay and chat, boys, but I have places to be, meow. She takes the purple gem from her cleavage and holds it up. Both Fox and Batman glance to each other. Fox raises his eyebrows, wonder what she's up to. Selina chuckles as she squeezes the gem. A shock wave comes out and blasts the heroes out of the store. Both land hard on their backs. Lightning dances over their skin. Selina walks out the store with a strut. Once she reaches the heroes, she looks down at the paralyzed Batman, who groans as he tries to move. She then rubs Batman's cheek, ignoring the sting of the lightning, and pecks him on the lips. "See ya, Brucky." With that, she climbs up the nearest building and vanishes. Several minutes later, both heroes struggle to get up. Batman glances to Fox as he manages to sit up. "You could have stopped her." Fox sheepishly rubs the back of his head as he sits up. "Well, I can never hit a female," he groans, as he plucks out a piece of glass sticking out of his arm. "It goes against everything I stand for. Plus, you know I hate lightning." Batman sighs as he manages to get up. "You're just too kind-hearted," he said as he pops his neck and looks down at his suit. "Our suits were supposed to prevent electricity from harming us." Naruto nods as he stands up and dusts off the glass fragments. He presses a button on his watch. "Mom, any idea what happened?" Naruto asked as Kushina appears on the small screen. "That shock wave, it managed to enter through your pores, causing temporarily paralysis," Kushina said with a frustrated sigh. "Both suits couldn't stop it. Luckily it didn't harm the watch." Sirens are finally heard heading their way, making Naruto wonder what took them. "I'll take care of it. You better head back to the watchtower," Naruto said to Batman, who nodded. "I'll see if James knows anything." "All right, I'll meet you there. Oh, one other thing." Batman points to his HEAD just before he uses his grappling hook and vanishes atop the nearest roof. "What?" He then reaches towards his hair and pulls out several shards of glass that he throws to the ground just as the police arrive. "Fox," a cop calls out as he checks out the damaged jewelry store. "What happened?" "A robbery," Naruto replied with a grunt. "Unfortunately they got away." Commissioner Gordon walks up to Fox. He glances down as his feet crunch the glass. He then lifts an eyebrow and looks to Fox, who gives a shrug. Gordon gives a nod to the cops, as he and Fox walk away from prying ears. The police enter the jewelry store, only to notice most of the merchandise is missing. One cop gives a whistle. "I bet the owner is going to be pissed," the cop said with the others nodding in agreement. Watchtower. Jean types away at the computer monitor in front of him. He stops typing and a picture comes up. Batman comes up and puts his hand on his shoulder. "Find anything?" Jean points to the image. "I believe so." Another image comes up. Athena's gem, reported stolen 5 days ago from the Gotham Museum. "Think it's related to the Arkham incident?" Batman asked as he stares at the image. "No doubt about it. That's what Selina had." "I believe so," Superman answered as he stands beside Batman, looking at the image. "But, if the Joker stolen the gem, then why does Catwoman have it?" "She likely stole it from him," Batman said with a shake of the head. "What is Athena's gem?" Flash asked as he walks up, followed by Green Lantern, Wonder Woman and Hawkgirl. Found by an archaeologist in some ruins in Greece," Jean said. A picture of some ancient ruins then appear on screen. Some say the gem will grant infinite wisdom, others say it will give them the powers of a god. Diana steps forward and checks out the picture of the gem. "Mother told me about this." Everyone looks toward her. The goddess Athena was said to be sealed into the gem. But it don't give the wielder infinite wisdom or the powers to become a god, it gives the power to control and wield lightning. "Interesting," Fox said as he appears behind them, startling them. "Me and Batman were zapped earlier. This Catwoman person must not know how to properly wield it," Diana said as she tries to calm her heat. "I'd say," Batman replied, then looks at Fox. "I'm willing to bet that she's already sold it to the Penguin. Want to check it out?" Fox asks. "Yeah, since your Foxjet is faster than the Javelin," Batman said as he starts walking to the hangar. "Damn, I really need to start thinking about getting a sidekick," Naruto stated, causing the Flash to laugh. A short chubby man with a long nose, a monocle and a tuxedo sits at a desk. He thumbs through a Manila folder. "Blast, who the hell was that guy?" He then glances at the suitcase next to him. "At least he paw." A man flying through his door causes him to duck under his desk. He slowly peeks out, only to see the last person he wanted to see. "Ah, Batman, so good of you to drop by," Penguin said as he wobbles back to his chair. "And Fox too. What brings you two here?" "We're looking for a purple gem," Batman asked, stepping forward. "Purple gem? A purple gem?" Penguin asks as he shuffles through the folders. He picks up a folder and looks through it. "Sorry, don't know." Suddenly the folder splits in half. He looks up at Fox in shock as he sheaths his sword. "Ah, that gem." The Penguin answers with sweat dripping down his forehead. "I already sold it. Already. Damn, he works fast," Naruto thought with a shake of the head. "To who?" Batman said. "A man that calls himself the Samurai," Penguin replied. "He had a weird-looking sword. The handle had a hole in it." Fox shakes his head. "Samurai. I had a run-in with him once." Batman looks at him. "It was when I was in Metropolis. He challenged me to a sword fight. He lost but vowed to get stronger." Batman looks back at Penguin. "You said there was a hole in the handle of the sword." "You mean like a slot?" "Yes, and for some strange reason, it was the same size as the gem," Penguin said as an afterthought. "Interesting," Batman stated. Fox looks down. "It's possible. It kept getting stolen right from under him, first by the Joker, then by Catwoman. His luck must suck." Fox looks back at Batman. "Let's head back." Batman nods, then turns to Penguin. "Stay out of trouble." Unknown warehouse, Gotham. People in black ninja clothing bow in front of a man, who is wearing samurai armor, complete with a helmet, metal arm braces and sandals. He holds his katana up. "My people," he screams. "Tonight we will kill the Fox and take over Gotham City." "My lord, how will we do that?" a ninja found the courage to ask. "And what about the Justice League?" "We will first need to draw them out." A kunoichi hands them each a piece of paper. "These are the places we will need to take over, if we want to take the city." The samurai holds up the gem and places it into the slot on the sword handle. Lightning starts dancing on the blade. "I will handle Fox. Now go. Show the city our power." Police station. Commissioner Gordon walks out of his office. The sounds of phones ringing and people shouting disturbed him from his light nap. "What's going on?" he asked as several cops run past him. A female cop adds a clip into her gun and turns toward him. "There has been reports of a group of ninjas terrorizing the city." "Ninjas? I bet Naruto and Kushina are going to have a field day with this," Gordon thought. Wayne Manor. "Here's your coffee, madam," Alfred said as he hands Kushina a steamy mug of coffee. Said woman has a grease spill on her cheek. She quickly drinks the coffee, ignoring the burn in her throat. "Ah, that hits the spot," she said with a sigh. "If I may ask, what are you working on this time?" Alfred asked as he notices a small object covered by a blanket. "Just a little something for myself," Kushina said with a smirk. "Something wrong?" Alfred asked as she stops smirking and starts frowning. Kushina tilts her head. "Someone's here. Maybe it's Master Bruce or Master Naruto," Alfred suggested. "No, there is at least 5, maybe 6, Kushina said as she starts to smirk again. "I think I'll say hi." "You better call Gordon." Alfred nods as Kushina runs out the door. While the 6 ninja wannabes split up and start putting objects into a bag. "Check this out," a ninja calls out as he holds up a bronze fox that he quickly shoves into the bag. Suddenly a hand shoots up and grabs his. "What? That belongs to my son." She snaps his wrist and kicks him back, causing him to drop the bag and fly into the wall. The other ninjas stare in shock. The 5 remaining ninjas quickly shook off their shock and start throwing shuriken at her. She dodges the shuriken and rushes forward. She strikes the first ninja in the gut, followed by a roundhouse kick to the head. Once he falls to the ground, another ninja attempts to punch her, only to get his hand caught. She twists his arms, causing him to flip and land hard on the ground. A female ninja quickly takes out a kunai and rushes forward. She swings the kunai, only for Kushina to slap the knife out of her hand and kick her hard in the ribs. She coughs up blood and falls to the ground. The remaining 2 ninja look at each other before they both charge forward. The first one throws a punch that Kushina dodges. She bends down and does a sweep kick, causing the ninja to land in a heap. She looks at the remaining ninja, only to see him running towards an open window. Before he reaches the window, a cane comes down on his head, knocking him out cold. Alfred steps over the unconscious ninja and leans his cane on his shoulder. Kushina takes out the bronze fox and dusts it off. One of Naruto's first birthday presents in this world. She whispered out. A newly turned 6-year-old Naruto looks around the empty hallway. Mom, he calls out as he starts to run. Bruce, Alfred. He stops at a set of double doors. Taking a deep breath, he charges in. Once inside, he looks around the dark room. Hello, he said. Suddenly the lights pop on, startling him. Happy birthday, Kushina yelled out while wearing a pointed birthday hat. Naruto tears up and latches onto her. Once he releases her, Bruce walks over and ruffles his hair, causing him to pout. Happy birthday, kiddo. Alfred then walks over and places a birthday hat onto his head. Naruto then glances at 3 presents sitting on a table. Are those for me? Sure are. One from me, one from Alfred, and one from Bruce, Kushina said as Naruto starts to shake a present. Go ahead. Then we can have some cake. He smiles and rips into the present with orange wrapping. He opens the box within, revealing a small bronze fox statue and a small stuffed fox. He smiles at his mother. It was on sale. Plus I forgot to pack your Froggy-chan stuffed toy in the other world. So, I wanted to make up for it, Kushina replied with a small smile. He then begins to open the other 2 presents, revealing a pair of pajamas with fox prints on it, courtesy of Bruce, and the other present has 2 books in it. One is a book on English and the other a book on table manners, courtesy of Alfred. The police are on the way, Alfred said. Shall I tie them up? Kushina puts the fox on the table and pulls out some ninja wire. Sure, I'll help make sure it's nice and tight. Watchtower. Jean stands in front of the monitor. On it is a map of Gotham. Behind him stands Batman. What's the position of the other? Batman asked. Hawkgirl and Wonder Woman are fighting ninjas at the Gotham Mall. Green Lantern and the Flash are helping the police. Batman turns his head as Fox comes up behind him. Some ninjas broke into the mansion, Fox stated, causing Batman to snap his head in his direction. Don't worry, Mom took care of them. Batman nods his head. That's good. A beeping sound from the monitor alerts them. What's going on? Fox asked. A high concentration of lightning is gathering at one location. Jean replied as a picture of clouds gathering in one place. Samurai. Fox whispered to Batman. Can you find information on him? Batman asked. Already ahead of you, Jean said as a picture of a man in his 40s appears. John Alt, an archaeologist, lost his job due to his obsessiveness with anything involving ninjas and samurai. Batman and Fox glanced to each other. I'm starting to feel violated, Fox thought with a shudder. Looks like you get your first nemesis, little bro, Batman said with a chuckle. Fox just rolls his eyes. Batman looks around. Where's Superman? The hissing of the door is heard behind them. The turn around and spot Superman walking up to them. I had to help a few airplanes that were caught up in that storm, Clark said. Batman nods. We're going to the eye of the storm. You coming? Superman nods. Then let's go put Fox's first supervillain in an Arkham cell. Fox shakes his head. Nah, I'm going to need a new prison for my villains. You and me both, Clark said with a smile. That the 3 heroes leave Jean to himself as he focuses on the growing storm. Gotham Mall. Wonder Woman ducks as a ninja flies over her head and lands in a heap. She blocks a thrown kunai with her wrist bracelet and charges forward with a punch, knocking him out. She then glances at Hawkgirl, who dives into a crowd of ninjas and swings her mace. Ninjas fly left and right as she mows through them. Diana's sweat drops as Hawkgirl lets out a cackle. 8 ninjas walk down the empty street. Shouldn't we be in the shadows or something? The ninja behind the rest said. Yeah, but first, where is everybody? It's like a ghost town, the lead ninja said. The last ninja could have sworn a tumbleweed tumbled by. Creepy, the last ninja said just as a red blur appears and then he vanishes. You can say that again. He looks behind him only to see nobody there. He turns around and looks around. Guys. He then turns around, only to see a red flash appearing in the middle of the group. The ninjas then vanish as the red blur passes them. Before he can blink, a fist sinks into his stomach and he falls to the ground. He looks up and spots the Green Lantern pointing his lantern ring at him. A pair of green handcuffs materialize on him and the rest of the ninjas. The samurai's hideout. The Fox jet hovers above the warehouse. The ramp opens and the three heroes leap down to the ground below. Well, two heroes. The third just flew down. As Fox and Batman hit the ground, they tuck and roll, then leap up in a ready position. Looking around, they notice no one around. No thugs. Just a huge thunderstorm. Are we at the right place? Batman asked, standing up. This is the place, all right. Clark said, landing on the ground. Naruto stands up and sniffs the air. I smell two people. One male, the other female. Both are heading this way. Let's just hope it doesn't start raining or all. Without warning, rain starts pouring down. Loose the smell. Naruto shakes his head as the rain starts to cloud his vision. You sure you want to fight him alone? Clark asked. Yeah. Just as Naruto says that, lightning hits a cargo container next to them, causing Naruto to flinch. He glances back and sees a scorch mark on the container. Then, without warning, another lightning bolt shoots forward and strikes Superman, sending him crashing into another cargo container, bending it in half. Standing in front of him and Batman, the samurai gives off a smirk, while the kunoichi takes out a kunai. You can fight the girl. Batman just sends him an annoyed glare, then charges forward just as the kunoichi does. Kunai meets gloved hand spike. The ninja kicks Batman in the stomach, followed by a knee to the face, which he stops with his forearm. Back with Naruto and the samurai. They both stand facing each other. The samurai points his lightning sword at Naruto and opens his mouth, which Naruto interrupts. Wait, you're not going to go into a long monologue, are you? Maybe. Aren't I supposed to? Samurai asked as he lowers the sword a little. Well, actually most villains do, but Naruto started. He then unsheathes both swords. Screw it. Let's just fight. They both charge towards each other. Once they close the gap, they swing. The swords move so fast, it's like the raindrops are frozen in time. The swords meet and the lightning jumps down Naruto's sword, causing him to grunt in pain as he tries to push back. He then brings his other sword up and swings it. The samurai blocks it with his arm brace. Give up, Fox. You won't win this time. Samurai yell. Ed as he sends more lightning through the swords. Naruto grunts in pain. Haha. What's the matter? Can't handle a little lightning? Hey, Naruto let out. Haven't you learned that it's not wise to mess with a fox? With that, Naruto kicks Samurai between the legs, who was unlucky enough to forget protection. Naruto stumbles back. You cheated, Samurai yelled while regaining his breath. Ninjas use every advantage they see. Naruto yelled as he swings both swords forward. Samurai narrows his eyes as he holds the sword forward. Fine. A lightning bolt flies toward Naruto, who dodges. He fires another one only for it to be dodged as well. Stay still. He then fires several in a succession and one finally strikes Naruto in the chest, sending him flying back and landing near Superman, who was watching the fight. Want me to interfere? Clark asked as he helps Naruto up. No, I must do this alone. Naruto quickly sheaths both swords and does several quick hand seals. Water begins to gather around Naruto. That causes Clark to widen his eyes. With Batman, he dodges the charging kunoichi and appears behind her. He grabs the back of her head and slams her into the hard concrete. Should have did that at the start of the fight. He glances at Naruto, only to see him doing a quick set of hand seals. Water style. Bullet wave. The water around Naruto suddenly flies forward. ND begins to transform into a small blue bullets. 1,000 small blue bullets. What the? Samurai gasped out. He shakes his head and swings his sword toward the incoming bullets. His sword goes through several of them. The water splashes everywhere. Some even splashes on his revealed skin, causing it to shock him, turning his own weapon against him. He looks up just as the rest of the water bullets pound into him. He flies back and lands hard on the ground, his sword clattering next to him. The purple gem comes loose and rolls. It stops as Batman's foot, who picks it up and slips it into his utility belt. Naruto walks up to the fallen criminal, followed by Superman and Batman. What was that? Samurai gasped out. My power. It allows me to control the elements. Naruto lied, but his nemesis doesn't need to know that. Samurai looks at Naruto then closes his eyes. Damn, you won, again. Wayne Manor. 2 days later. In the garage, Naruto leans over a silver 2010 MV Agusta F4 1000 motorcycle. He stands up and grabs a rag off the table and wipes the grease from his face. He then smirks at the clean motorcycle. A cough is heard from the door, revealing Kushina standing with a soda in her hands. Thought you might be thirsty. She walks over to him and hands him the soda. I think we need to talk. What about? Naruto asked as he pops the cap and takes a sip. Kushina sighs. Naruto, everyone thinks you're a womanizer. Cue Naruto spitting out his soda and spraying it on his bike. What? Bruce, Hawkgirl and Gordon all think you're a player. I want the truth, Naruto. I may be your mother, but I'm also your best friend. Kushina said, I want to know why you do this. Naruto lets out a sigh. I just love the way women look at me. Back in Konoha, I knew no girl would ever look at me in that way. Bruce stands in the doorway, unseen. And the girls I've been with. I cared a lot about them. I guess I'm just looking for a girl I could see myself with. Like you and Dad. Kushina gives Naruto a hug. Well, what about Hawkgirl? She asked as she releases him. Wah, Naruto stammered. She scares me. Catwoman, Kushina asked with an innocent smile. He then leans towards his mother ear. I think her and Bruce have a thing. He then glances toward the door as a cough is heard, causing Kushina to giggle. Princess Diana, Kushina SMI. RKS as Naruto looks back at her with a light blush, she smirks. What about a harem? Not cool, Mom. So not cool. He replied as she starts to laugh, followed by Bruce walking in while chuckling. You too, Bruce. Well, me and you are the last of 2 clans, and I never really planned to remarry, so that leaves you. Kushina said as she and Bruce start laughing again. You're creeping me out, Mom. He then walks back over to his bike. While Kushina and Bruce continues to laugh, he wipes the soda from his bike and lets out a sigh. I just love to make girls smile. I guess that's why I flirt around. He told them as they stop laughing and walk over to him. Anyway, what new gadget are you working on? Glad you asked. She pulls out a piece of paper and hands it to Naruto. I'm putting a shield modification on your bike. That way you won't have to deflect bullets with your swords or rely on chakra. That's awesome. Thanks, Mom. Naruto said as he gives her a quick hug. Yip. Ing sound followed by a bang comes from the hallway. After a few seconds, Alfred burst through the door holding a 20-inch long robotic fox that stands 2 feet in his hand. Its silver skin shines in the light. Its metal jaw move with a small creak as it lets out a yip. Its yellow eyes glance around happily. The wire for a tail wags back and forth. Wah, Naruto stammers as both his and Bruce's eyes widen. Kushina grabs the robotic fox from Alfred and strokes its mechanical head. It lets out what sounds like a purr. This is what I've been working on. Besides, I always wanted a pet. T.S. way I won't accidentally kill it of starvation. Kushina said with an innocent expression. Naruto sighs and goes back to cleaning his bike. Another chapter done. A very cliché chapter. For the people that suggested a harem. I have to say it is possible, if I can figure out how to work it out. If not, I will likely just go with Wonder Woman. And my OC, the samurai. I know he was kinda weak and cliché. But that's how I wanted Naruto's first villain to be. My next story will be a Scooby-Doo Naruto crossover. The only thing I have to figure out is how to plan and write a mystery. Chapter 4. Naruto. The Justice League Chapter 4. Enter the Vixen. An 11-year-old Naruto stares at his mother, who is standing in front of him. A fire pit next to her. Now Naruto, we're going to learn how to combine jutsus. Kushina started. Combining jutsus. Naruto interrupted. Yes, like using wind to power fire. She then backs up and stands in front of the fire. She moves her arms. Blue chakra swirls around her like water. She then suddenly thrusts her hands forward and the fire shoots up. You can also combine genjutsu with other jutsu, like you can use a genjutsu to hide yourself and make a trap for the enemy. You can also use a fire just you and a water jutsu together to make a smokescreen. I understand, you want me to experiment? Naruto asked. Yes, but right now you're not too good with genjutsu, but in time, you will be a master. Kushina answered with her eyes closed. Naruto nods and begins practicing. Naruto lays soundly asleep. He starts to let out a light snore, as something starts crawling up the bed. It reaches his face. Naruto feels something rubbing his face, but thinks it's a dream. Don't stop, he whispered out. Something that sounds like laughing is heard. He ignores it and turns his head, only to feel something in his ear. That feels good. The laughing continues. He slowly opens his eyes and comes face to face with a robotic fox. His eyes widen and he scrambles away from the robot. What the hell are you doing in my room? The fox gives an exited yip, just as Kushina bursts in the room laughing. She grabs the fox from the bed and hugs it. Ah, you're going to hurt Haru's spring feelings. Naruto shakes his head and stares at Haru as he yips happily. His eyes widen. How does he have his own personality? Kushina corrected. And I infused my chakra into her. And it caused her to have her own personality. You're something else, Mom. Naruto then glances at the clock on the wall. 8 already. Where's Bruce? There was a bank robbery earlier. He's investigating it. Kushina replies while laying on the bed with Haru laying on her stomach. And the rest of the league are off doing their own thing. Your future girlfriend, Wonder Woman, is visiting her mother. Naruto lets loose a light blush. Ah, almost forgot. She stands up and digs in her pocket. She pulls out a piece of paper and hands it to Naruto. Gordon wanted me to give this to you. Naruto looks at the note and raises his eyebrows. Looks like James found me an interesting assignment. Why does he want you to stop a group of poachers? Kushina asked. These are the Black Heart poachers. They are known for their brutal methods. They will hunt any kinds of animals. I'm surprised they're in Africa. They usually stay in Australia. Naruto stands up and stretches. From what I heard, their leader is a man that calls himself Slayer. Stupid name. Kushina deadpanned. I know. Naruto replied. Well, I'm about to leave. Tell the others. You taking your bike? Kushina asked as Haru stands up and stretches. She then jumps off the bed and runs up to Naruto. No. Don't want to risk getting dirt in the engine. Naruto replied as he pats Haru on the head. She lets out a purr. I'll take the Foxjet and use the cloaking device on it. All right. Kushina stands up and gives him a peck on the cheek. Good luck. In the cockpit of the Foxjet, Naruto sits messing with the radio. While the jet is on autopilot, he smirks. Can't believe Mom put a stereo system in here. Suddenly a familiar voice comes over the communicator. Fox, I just heard from Kushina. I did some searching and I found a small village by the name of Jekka. I believe it's close to where the animals have been vanishing. Jekka, Naruto asked as he flies over Africa. Animals look up and start stampeding away. Apparently it means sunrise. Jean pauses for a moment. I just contacted a fellow hero. She will be waiting for you near the village. Gotcha. Naruto then begins to mess with the stereo. Finding a nice beat, he leans back and watches the scenery go by. 20 minutes later, the Foxjet flies over the village. Children wave as he flies past. The jet hovers over the desert ground. Dust flies everywhere. The ramp lowers and Naruto leaps out and lands on the ground with a grunt. He presses a button on his belt and the jet's ramp closes and it becomes transparent. Naruto glances around the desert and spots the village. As he starts walking, a roar is heard. He quickly turns around and blocks the flying kick. The force of the kick causes him to slide back. Shit, that felt like an elephant just kicked me. He quickly ducks as another kick flies over his head. He pushes back and gets a good look at the woman. She wears yellow clothing, with some cleavage showing. And she wears a necklace with a fox head on it. He looks her up and down. Wow, she's almost as sexy as Diana. The woman then looks up at the sky. Hawk, she yelled out. Naruto ko. Udd've sworn an ethereal image of a hawk appeared behind her. The woman then takes off into the sky, surprising Naruto. He looks up for any sign of her. His eyes widen before he quickly jumps back as something crashes into the ground in front of him. Dust flies up. Before he can blink, the woman appears from the dust running on all fours. A ghostly form of a cheetah appears running beside her. He flips over her as she keeps running. The woman stops, then looks at Naruto for a moment. "You must be Fox, your friend contacted me," the woman said as she approaches Naruto. "Call me Vixen." Naruto just chuckles. Vixen and Fox. Must be destiny. Maybe. Vixen then walks past Naruto and begins to lead the way to the village. "Don't worry about not understanding anybody. The villagers have learned English." "That's good. So, what's the situation?" Naruto asked as they reach the village. The children run up to both Vixen and Fox. The village elder. She owned an albino lion, the first I've ever seen. Vixen watches as Naruto bends down and helps a little girl. That tripped. He smiles at her and shoos her away. The poachers must have snuck in sometime during the night. "I tracked them to an abandoned outpost several miles out." She raises an eyebrow. "I'm curious, why do they call themselves the Black Heart?" "Poachers." Fox sighs. "It's because they will sell any part they scavenge from the animal." "And I do mean any part." Fox notices her flinch. It's no wonder why Gordon wanted them stopped. "The last I heard from this gang was that they were slaughtering kangaroos in Australia." Vixen puts a hand to her mouth. "That's horrible." "I know. I love animals. Once we stop this gang, I'm taking them straight to Gotham," Naruto said. Vixen shakes her head. "Why Gotham?" "Because Gotham is filled with animal lovers," Naruto replied. "Wonder what Mom and Catwoman would do to them." He then shudders. "Anyway, what was the lion's name?" "Kaede. It means, bringing happiness." Vixen glances around. "He was very gentle with the children. They loved him. We'll get him back. That's a promise of a lifetime," Naruto replied with a thumbs up. Vixen chuckles just as an elderly woman walks up. Her cane has a wooden lion on it. Vixen gives her a nod of the head. "Fox, this is Elder Wema." "Elder, Fox here was sent to help us stop these poachers." Wema raises a shaking hand. That Fox takes in his own. "Please, bring back Kaede. Without him, this village will lose its heart." Fox pats her hand. "Don't worry. These poachers won't stand a chance." The elder puts her other hand on top of Fox's. "Thank you. You're welcome." He then turns to Vixen. "We will leave by night." "But, what if it's too late?" Vixen asked with a stutter. Naruto lets go of the elder's hand. "They won't kill Kaede. He's too unique," Naruto replied. He looks up at the sky. Several birds fly by. Right now, they're probably calculating the prices of the animal parts. He then looks back at Vixen with a look of determination. "We will attack by nightfall." At the abandoned outpost, 6 people stand around a large cage. 5 of the men wear desert camouflage, and the leader wears a brown desert camo uniform with a bear-skin coat. He has a goatee and a military-style hairdo. He looks at the white lion. "Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful." One of the men takes out a machete and licks the blade. "How should we kill him?" The leader looks back at the man. "Idiot. Something this unique should be preserved." Kaede stares defiantly at the poachers. He glances to the side and notices several other cages, each filled with a different animal. He lets out a small growl. The leader, Slayer, turns to 2 of his men. "You two, patrol the perimeter. We don't want any foolish villager trying to be a hero." The 2 nods and walk off. Slayer looks back at Kaede. "Don't you go anywhere now." He walks away with a chuckle. The other men following. Outside, the 2 guards look around. A slithering sound is heard. "I'm going to go a little night hunting," the hunter said, while drawing his machete. He walks toward the sound. The other hunter Simp, Lee, shakes his head and walks the other way, looking for a place to urinate. The hunter walks toward a sand dune. The slithering is heard coming from it. He smirks and stabs his machete into the dune. He pulls his machete out, or tried to. The machete is yanked back into the dune, with the hunter's hand. He screams as he is yanked into it. A few seconds later, Naruto appears from the dune, which va nishes, and in its place is the hunter's head. "Don't go anywhere," he said with a chuckle. "Man, I'm glad Mom taught me how to combine jutsus." The other hunter zips his pants back up and lets out a sigh of relief. Before he gets very far, a fist hits the back of his head, knocking him out. Vixen places one foot on his back. She shakes her head and walks away, but not before completely stepping on him. She meets up with Naruto outside the outpost. Shall we knock or just let ourselves in? Naruto smirks and kicks the door down, only to come face to face with two men with guns. They pull the trigger. Vixen quickly jumps back through the door. Fox ends up taking all the bullets. Smoke starts covering the entrance. The men smirk, until a cough is heard behind them. They slowly turn around, only to see Fox leaning on the wall. "Yo, the back door was unlocked," he said. He quickly grabs both guns and giving them a twist, causing a cracking sound to be heard and a scream coming from both men. Fox drops both guns to the ground and slams the hunters' heads together, knocking them out. Vixen comes through the smoke, only to see Fox standing above the knocked-out hunters. She lets out a gasp. I thought you died. Please, like I can be killed that easily." He then looks back down the hall. "Go free the animals. I'll handle Slayer." Vixen shakes out of her shock and runs down the hall. Naruto then starts walking to where he knows Slayer is waiting. Vixen enters the place where the animals are at. She glances around, until she spots Kaede. "Kaede." She runs to the cage and is about to break the lock, until Kaede starts to growl. The sound of a gun cocking is heard behind her. She turns her head and spots a hunter with a revolver aimed at her. "Move and you die." He then forcefully turns her around and smirks. He pushes her against Kaede's cage. "Maybe you can entertain me." He was about to grab her breasts, until he spots her smirking. "What are you smirking at, girl?" She then holds up the remains of a lock. He stumbles back as a roar is heard. "Wah!" was all he got out before a white blur attacks. Naruto walks into a room and looks around. He suddenly ducks as a machete is swung at him. It sticks in the doorway. Slayer yanks out the machete and swings at Fox, who jumps back. It narrowly misses his stomach. Fox then yanks out one of his swords and blocks the machete. A blue glow surrounds the swords and he pushes forward. The machete cracks then completely falls apart. Slayer looks at the remains of his machete with wide eyes. He backs up and bumps into the wall. He smirks and quickly grabs the rifle hanging on the wall. He pulls the bolt back and loads a bullet into the chamber. All the while, Fox watches him. Slayer then aims the rifle at Fox. "Foolish boy," he then fires. But what he didn't expect was for Fox to swing his sword, which was glowing blue, and hits the bullet with the side of the sword, causing it to ricochet and head toward him. The bullet flies past his face and leaves a small cut on his cheek. Slayer wipes the blood from his face and looks at his now bloody hands. "Bastard." He glares at Fox and charges forward only to get a knee in the gut. Slayer coughs and stumbles back. He glances at the open door, then starts running. Naruto just sweat drops. "I really need to stop toying with my enemies. I blame Kyuubi." Slayer runs out of the outpost and into the desert. He then trips over something. He rolls over and looks at what he tripped over. He turns pale as he spots a head. He quickly gets back up and starts to run again. He suddenly stops as Kaede appears in front of him, baring his teeth. He backs up, only to bump into something. Turning around, he comes face to face with Fox. He smiles and does a few hand seals. After a few seconds, Slayer passes out. "What happened?" Vixen asks as she walks over to Fox. Kaede by her side. "I placed an illusion on him. It showed him getting mauled by every animal he ever killed." Naruto replied as he flips Slayer over and writes some symbols on his hands. A blue glow appears and it covers both hands. Vixen then pats Kaede on his head. "Kaede, meet Fox." The lion walks over to Fox and nuzzles his hands. Naruto chuckles as he pats him on the head. The morning sun shines through a small window on the hut. Blue eyes snap open and he glances around the room. His eyes stop on the nude form of the dark-skinned beauty next to him. "What the hell happened?" Vixen then opens her eyes and smiles up at Naruto. "Vixen, Naruto started. "Shish. It's alright. Wima just gave us some of her homemade alcohol. I don't regret anything." She then gives him a kiss. "And call me Mari." Did you?" Naruto began. "Enjoy it." "Yeah. Even though it was my first time, it was enjoyable." Mari then sits up, causing Naruto to turn away from her with a small blush. He then shakes his head as he finally starts to remember last night. While you were asleep, your watch rang. And your mother appeared. Naruto's eyes widen. She mentioned something about multiple wives. He slaps his face. I'm willing to share, she said with a wink. And your mom asked me to join the Justice League. And I agreed. Really? Naruto asked. Mari nods. I just hope Wonder Woman and Hawkgirl doesn't kill me. He then shakes his head. We better say goodbye first. Good idea. Mari agreed. After leaving Africa and dropping the hunters off at the Gotham jail, the Foxjet arrives at the watchtower. Naruto and Mari enter the Hall of Justice and see the rest of the League sitting there. Batman stands up and walks to Naruto. How did things go? Batman asked. Interesting. I'll probably go back and visit again. Naruto replied. Batman then looks at Mari. You must be Vixen. I think I saw your picture somewhere before. Naruto chuckles as Flash appears before him. You're Mari McCabe, the famous supermodel. Mari nods. That's me, and now I'm one of Naruto's girlfriends. One of. Question mark. You mean he has more? Flash asked with wide eyes, while Hawkgirl glares at Naruto. It's a custom of my people. If you're the last male of a clan, you must take more than one wives. Naruto explained. Flash suddenly bows down. You're my hero. May I have your autograph? Flash is suddenly hit upside the head by Hawkgirl. I bet Kushina is involved somehow. Batman said with a shake of the head. Meanwhile, Mari walks over to Wonder Woman. You know, I saw the way you looked at Naruto, and if you must know, you're the only other girl me and Miss Kushina approves of. Wonder Woman just sighs. I don't know what I feel. My heart starts beating fast when he's around, and I barely know him. I barely know him too. We met one day, then slept together that night. I'd say we both get to know him first. Mari said. Agreed. Wonder Woman said with a nod. But I still don't know what my people would do if they found out I might be in love with a man. Naruto walks down the halls of Wayne Manor, Bruce next to him. I can't believe Kushina is letting you have multiple wives. I find it embarrassing. Naruto said with a shake of the head. I guess she still feels responsible about my life before coming here. This must be her way of making it up to me. That's understandable. Anyway, I'll be in the Batcave. Bruce said walking away, Naruto never noticing the smirk on his face. Naruto walks down the hall and opens the door to his room, only to freeze. Mari sits on his bed in a pair of white lingerie. What are you doing here? Naruto whispered. I thought you wanted to get to know each other first. Mari just chuckles. Miss Kushina was very adamant about me staying here. Mari then pats the bed. We did sleep with each other. I think that is considered knowing each other very well. Naruto walks in with a shake of his head. He closes the door behind him. I pretty much wrote this chapter while suffering from writer's block. So, I may or may not remove this chapter. It depends on what people think about it. I also have several other stories that might be released soon, including several original stories and a Naruto X-Men crossover. And I'm writing chapter 2 of my Spider-Man crossover. I'll release it as soon as my writer's block is gone. Chapter 5, Naruto. The Justice League. Chapter 5, of Birthdays and Arrows. October 10th. A special day in the Wayne Manor. The halls are quiet as Naruto makes his way to the family room. It's been a month since he started dated Vixen. Batman, Superman and his mother calls them, Fox and Vixen. A match made in heaven. He passes by the library and notices his mother isn't in there. Weird, because the library is his mother's paradise, second only to her workshop. Shaking his head, he remembers him and Mari deciding to get to know each other better and start having romantic dates. And her and his mother telling him to find other girls to love. Mari EV.N decided to help him find and start a small harem of girls that Naruto will likely fall for. Even Bruce agrees with the idea, but Naruto doesn't know if it's for amusement or for Naruto's sake. After all, he did spot Bruce reading an English version of Ica Ica Paradise that his mother brought with them from their world. Pushing open the double doors, he encounters a dark room. He sniffs the air a few times, then, surprise, was the scream as the lights come on. Party streamers float in the air. Getting over his shock, Naruto wonders just how they are able to surprise him each and every time. Happy birthday, Mari said as she walks over to Naruto and plants a small kiss on his lips. She chuckles and puts a party hat on his head, an orange one to go with the yellow one on her head. Lou, king around the room, and to his surprise, he spots Wonder Woman and the Flash. Each wearing normal clothes. Diana looks down at her dress in bewilderment, while wondering how Vixen talked her into wearing these clothes. She sighs as she evens out the party hat on her head. James Gordon glances at the new people in confusion, passing it off as Naruto's and Bruce's friends. After all, the only one he knows as a hero is Naruto. What he doesn't know won't hurt him. He spots Haru running around the room with Wally West chasing him, careful not to use his super speed. Haru's tail wags as she taunts Wally. Kushina laughs as she cheers on her little pet. Naruto and Mari walk over to Bruce. Naruto glances to the presents, while trying to hide his childlike excitement. Bruce smiles at the approaching couple as he downs some of the punch. Still upset that Kushina insisted that punch should be served and not alcohol. Once they reach Bruce, Naruto asks, "Where's Clark?" Bruce takes a huge gulp of his drink. "Him and Lois couldn't make it, but they did give you their wishes, and..." He points to a thinly wrapped present. "Lois said you will like it." Taking the present from the table, Naruto unwraps it and is surprised to see Halo reach. Naruto smirks. "Lois always knows what I like." Cue a cough from Mari and a chuckle from Kushina. Naruto gives a nervous chuckle. "Sorry." Bruce chess into his pocket and pulls out something. Leaning forward, Bruce whispers to Mari and Naruto, so that Gordon doesn't overhear. "This is from Robin's teammate. Her name is Starfire." Bruce whisper. D as he places the object into Naruto's hand. He opens his hand and is surprised to see a pink glowing jewel. Mari gives a whistle. She said it's a good luck charm. It's also infused with some of her power. Naruto puts the necklace around his neck. Robin also wishes to team up one of these days. Taking his eyes from the gem, he smirks at Bruce. "Hey, I hope Shorty has a new set of skills." "I'm sure he does," Bruce said. "We're still looking for members to recruit. Someone contacted me a few hours ago. She wants to join." Naruto and Mari glance to each other, then back to Bruce. "Who? And please don't say Catwoman." Bruce shakes his head. "That woman will be the death of me." Naruto chuckles. "It's Cheetah." "Cheetah?" Mari asked. "I thought she was an enemy." Bruce nods. "She was just misunderstood." He looks at Naruto. "I think you two can relate." Bruce walks away to talk with Gordon, just as Alfred walks in with a cake. Haru stops running, causing Wally to trip over his own feet, and starts yipping happily at Alfred. Naruto just nods his head, agreeing that him and Cheetah may be similar after all. Mari then grabs his hand and leads him toward the cake. Naruto and Mari lay asleep in their bed. A soft snore coming from Mari. Naruto starts to stir. He opens a drowsy eye as he remembers last night. After eating the cake, he opened the rest of the presents. His mother giving him a jutsu scroll that has a few jutsus that she just invented, but haven't tried. Bruce gave him a new iPod filled with new songs. Gordon present was, well, his present was just a mumbled apology for trying to kill him after catching him with his daughter, Barbara. Barbara herself had her father give Naruto her present, which was a brand new helmet for his bike. Alfred gave him a book on cleaning, which causes everyone to laugh, knowing in the future he is going to have several wives. Wally gave him a book on the stars, since they both starting admiring the vastness that is space. Diana, not knowing what to get a man, simply gave him a blessing that her people usually do on special occasions. And Mari, her present simply led us back to the bedroom. On the bedside table, the communicator comes on. Naruto reaches over and says in a sleepy voice, "Yeah, Naruto. Clark found someone worth recruiting." Bruce's voice came over the mic. In the background, wind is heard. "Who?" Naruto said, sitting up in the bed. A few scratch marks on his chest. "Is it Cheetah?" "No," came the voice of the Dark Knight. "He goes by the Green Arrow." At this point, Mari opens a sleepy eye. Naruto pops his neck. "Any relation to the Green Lantern?" "It's a possibility." A beeping sound is heard over the mic. Diana and Flash are already heading toward him. "I'll contact you later. Right now, I'm taking Kushinato meet with Cheetah." Bruce pauses and lets out a gasp. "If she doesn't destroy the Batjet first." Naruto chuckles and turns to look at Mari as she slips on her bra. Looks like mom left us the Foxjet. We'll eat breakfast then go help Flash and Diana. Naruto rubs the claw marks on his chest. But seriously, did you have to channel a hawk and lion last night? I may have infinite stamina, but even I have limits. Mari laughs as she puts on a shirt. Get used to it. She then slides on a pair of pants. Consider it training for when you have to deal with more than 2 wives at a time. He started as he puts on a t-shirt. Can't I just use clones? Mari stops moving. We haven't tried that yet. She then starts thinking of all the possibilities. Great. Naruto started as he watches his girlfriend smirking to herself. Just opened a can of worms. Mari chuckles as she walks toward the door. A sway of the hips as she walks. Looking back at Naruto, she says, "Your mom is letting me read a scroll on martial arts, so I'm going to stay here." She then smirks. This gives you and the princess time to bond. Once Mari is out the door, he lets out a defeated sigh. Yeah, definitely opened a can of worms. A 14-year-old Naruto swings his Bakken with a grunt. He does a diagonal slash followed by another and another. Sweat drips down his face. With a grunt, he continues to swing, while still keeping count. 498, 499, 500. He then drops to his knees in exhaustion. The Bakken rolls next to him. He looks to his left as clapping is heard. He gives a weak grin as Alfred, Bruce and Kushina walk toward him. Alfred hands him a towel, which he immediately takes, while looking confused at his mother, who is carrying a bag over her shoulder. Kushina gives a proud smile. You did it. 500 slashes without stopping. Bruce whistles. And I didn't think you'd made it past 200. Naruto gives a pout at that. Master Bruce. Alfred sighed. Naruto stands up and looks cautiously at the bag over his mother's shoulder. Either Christmas came early, or that's a bag of boulders. Bruce lets out a laugh. Kushina sets the bag down and pulls out a water balloon and lets it fly right into Bruce's face. It hits his face with a plop. Naruto walks over to the bag and picks up a water balloon. He tosses it up and down in his hand. Bruce wipes his face with the towel and is very tempted to grab a water balloon and have his revenge. His eye twitches. Kushina laughs. Water balloons? Naruto asked, trying to figure out what training required balloons. Kushina gives him a smile. It's time to learn your father's signature jutsu. She grabs a balloon and a few seconds later, it pops. This is step 1 out of 3, once you mastered this. Then I will show you the Flying Thunder God Jutsu. Naruto's eyes widen at finally being able to learn in father's jutsus. He shakes his head as a question pops up. But we don't have any of those special kunai. Kushina smiles at that. The kunai aren't important. It's the seals that are. The kunai are used as a focal point. Your father and I always believed that. Why? Oh, you will surpass him and master both his jutsu. Naruto then grabs a water balloon. Then, I will surpass him. Kushina, Alfred and Bruce smile as Naruto grabs balloon after balloon. The Foxjet's ramp lowers as it hovers over a city. Naruto walks down and looks at the city below him. Taking a breath, he leaps onto a nearby roof with a grunt. He presses a button on his belt and the Foxjet turns invisible. Pressing the communicator in his ear, he gets static at first. Flash. Diana. You copy, he said into the communicator. He was about to try again, when an explosion is heard. Fox turns toward the sound, and without thinking, jumps from the building and lands on another. A few minutes earlier finds Wonder Woman and the Flash fighting a group of thugs wearing pink and black masks. The Flash punches a thug, sending him sprawling on the ground, and turns just as Wonder Woman slams another one onto the ground. Where did the Robin Hood wannabe go? He asked once the thugs are taken care of. Wonder Woman looks around for the Green Arrow. First, they were chasing the Green Arrow, then they run into a bank robbery in progress. She shakes her head and notices an arrow on the sidewalk. She picks it up and examines it. The arrow is painted green and has a small feather on it. Something weird is going on, Diana thought. She looks toward the Flash. He starts to tie up the thugs for the cops. As she turns back around, the sounds of screeching tires is suddenly heard. She turns her head, only to see a tanker truck heading for a small girl playing on the road. Without thinking, she charges forward. Once she reaches the child, she grabs her and they roll to the side, just as the truck slides past them and slams into a pole. The child holds onto her like a child holds onto their mother. The Flash, who didn't notice the girl, did notice the truck leaking gas. He also notices the Green Arrow aiming his arrow at the truck. As the arrow flies forward, the Flash speeds forward, grabs the unconscious driver and speeds away, just as the arrow strikes the sidewalk. A spark flies. A few seconds pass. Wonder Woman quickly covers the child, just as the truck explodes. Some shrapnel leaves a shallow cut on her bare arm. Ignoring the cut, she checks on the girl in her arms. Aside from a few cuts on her knee, she appears to be fine. The child looks up at Diana, and for the first time in her life, she wonders what it would be like to have a child. So into her thoughts, she doesn't notice that her and the child are still on the road. A car speeds toward them. She finally looks up, only to see the car coming. Closing her eyes, she waits for the pain, only to feel nothing. No pain. Opening her eyes, she spots Fox smiling down at her. She blushes as her thoughts from before come back to her. Shaking her head, she looks around for the child. Fox, noticing her looking around, nods toward the Flash. Craning her neck, she spots the little girl laughing along with the Flash. Came just in time, Fox said as he sets Wonder Woman down. What happened? The Green Arrow happened, Flash said as he waves goodbye to the little girl. She runs up to a woman he assumes is her mother. A fire engine starts to put out the fire. I don't think that is the real Green Arrow, Wonder Woman said as they begin to search for the Green Arrow. Flash looks at her in confusion. Wonder Woman notices and decides to explain. From what I understand, his powers are similar to the Green Lantern's ring, and I didn't sense any of that mythical power from him. My thoughts exactly. He suddenly stops as the sounds of fighting is heard. He looks up at a nearby building and nods to his teammates. Pumping chakra to his feet, he runs up the building. Wonder Woman flew up and the Flash took the stairs. Once they reach the top, they look at the two people fighting. Naruto raises his eyebrows, wondering how this will play out. It was at this point that Flash arrives and looks at the scene before them. So, he decides to sum up the scene. May the real Green Arrow please stand up, he said. Naruto slaps his face. The two Green Arrows match each other blow for blow. One threw a kick and the other dodges. After several minutes, one of the Green Arrows starts to growl. He jumps back and takes out his bow, which the other one copies. Naruto smirks as he notices one of the Green Arrow's hand starts to shake and sweat dripping from his brow, while the other one is holding his bow like a true warrior. Before both archers can fire their arrows, a Naruto appears behind the left archer in a puff of smoke and hits a pressure point on his neck, knocking him out. Silence. Then, how anticlimactic, the Flash stated, with Wonder Woman nodding in agreement. The real Naruto approaches the Green Arrow. The real Green Arrow, I presume. Green Arrow strokes his beard. That I am. He looks at the other two heroes walking toward him. What can I do for the Justice League? Naruto smirks. We're here to invite you to join. Really now? The archer said. He places his bow on his back. Several hours later finds Mari sitting on the bed with a scroll on her lap. The door opens and Naruto walks in with his hair wet and a towel around his waist. How did everything go? Mari asked without looking up from the scroll. Same old. Got Green Arrow to join. And of course, same old. Naruto said as he lays down on the bed. What about you? Kushina gave me this scroll. It's on a monkey fighting style. She shows him an illustration that was in the scroll. It's similar to a style in Taiwan, but with a few tweaks. That's mom for you. Always inventing stuff, whether it be jutsu or crazy gadgets. Naruto said with a smile. Mari looks at Naruto. Speaking of your mom, she said that her and Bruce invited Cheetah to stay here in the mansion. Naruto's eyes widen. That reminds me, tomorrow I'm going to talk with both Cheetah and Wonder Woman about joining your harem. She then resumes her reading. Ignoring Naruto's despair. My life is ruled by women. A rain cloud appears over his head. Kami must hate me. A short chapter, I know. And I really need to practice my fighting scenes. I kinda rushed the ending, mainly because I wanted to post this chapter before I go to a family reunion tomorrow. And I'm currently writing 2 Naruto Negima X overs. One of which has Nodoka as Naruto's daughter. Since she reminds me of Hinata so much, I decided to take advantage of it. And I started writing a Naruto Halo X over. And like I said before, suggestions and ideas are appreciated. Even crossover suggestions. PM me or leave them in a review. I'm always open to new ideas. Chapter 6, Naruto. The Justice League Chapter 6, Poison Kills Part 1. A 15-year-old Naruto sweats as he stares at the tree. A tree about several feet away. A wind blows, causing his hair to flutter. A leaf falls from the tree. To him, the world begins to blur. Colors start to swirl around. Kushina and Bruce, who are both behind him, watch in amazement. Naruto begins to vanish before their eyes. Kushina smiles as a yellow blur speeds toward the tree. Bruce continues to look amazed. He heard the stories about Naruto's father, but to be able to actually see it. A loud thunderous boom is heard. Bruce and Kushina both widen their eyes. Then, break out into laughs as a Naruto-shaped dent appears on the tree. A few minutes of laughing later, both Kushina and Bruce stand in front of a pouting Naruto. A large bump on his head. Alfred walks over and hands him a bag of ice. Placing the bag on his head, he thanks Alfred and glares at his giggling mother and his grinning brother. Kushina, seeing the glare, stops laughing and turns it into a grin. Don't feel bad, honey. She pinches his cheek. Your father did the same thing. You remember the chip on the first Hokage's chin? He did that. Naruto looks up. Really? Everyone thought the Flying Thunder God was a jutsu. Kushina started. It's actually a bloodline. Your father didn't have enough chakra to maintain it, so he made special kunai and placed chakra-laden seals on it. You have a load of chakra. No. We believe you can master this bloodline. Bruce and Alfred both nod, as they agree he can master it. Naruto looks down in thought. Then, he looks up, determination shining in those blue eyes. Kushina smiles. In the watchtower, Vixen kisses the nape of Naruto's neck as they both lay together in the bedroom, with Naruto topless and sweating. In order to prepare for the new heroes, he, along with the others added onto the already large space station. He decided on making a room, since he started calling the watchtower a home away from home. Even Kushina made a room. Her and Vixen also made sure that Diana's room is next to Naruto's. Who knows what goes on in their heads? Back to the heroes. Vixen starts to straddle Naruto and gives him a passionate kiss. She leans back and begins to take her top off. When a gasp is heard at the door. Standing at the doorway is the winged mace wielder herself, with a red face. Somewhere on the watchtower, the Flash is laughing. Oops, Hawkgirl managed to get out. Yeah, Superman called for us. And with that said, she vanished faster than the Flash. Naruto and Vixen both look at the door with a blank face. Then, well, that was awkward. Naruto summed it up. After getting dressed, they rush to the Hall of Justice. Once there, they notice the place filling up with heroes from all over the world. Hawkgirl sees them enter and turns away with a blush. Naruto smiles as he looks at Earth's defenders all in one place. As villains pop up every day, so does heroes. He frowns as he notices someone missing. Where's Batman? He asked. Superman looks around at the assorted heroes. That's one of the things I wanted to say. Clark started. It appears Batman vanished after Poison Ivy escaped Arkham. So, she finally escaped. Naruto thought. Fox. Superman said, getting Naruto's attention. Since Arkham and Gotham are yours and Batman's domain, you think you can handle it? Naruto nods. Just as another hero opens his mouth. Why can't we all just go down there and stop her? Overkill much. Flash whispered to a hero next to him, causing him to laugh. The reason is, we don't want property damage. Too many heroes can be a dangerous combination. The Green Lantern replied from his seat. The Green Arrow, who is leaning on a wall next to Naruto, scratches his beard and looks at Naruto. Have you ever dealt with Poison Ivy before? He asked. All eyes turn to Naruto. Naruto gives a crooked smile. I did once. And Green Arrow urged. Yuto replied while still wearing that smile. Well, he pauses. A cricket is heard. Then, she kicked my ass with a flower. Quiet, until, the Flash starts howling with laughter. Vixen just slaps her face. Using the Foxjet, Naruto arrives at a large library. It should seem normal, but the moving vines and moving flowers are anything but normal. Plus the GPD, Gotham Police Department, is surrounding the building. Naruto looks at the cops, then back at a large plant. The plant opens up. A large green ooze flies out and heads towards the cops. The cops, realizing the danger a little too late, could only watch as the goo flies towards them. Naruto curses, then in a flash of yellow, he disappears. And appears in front of the cops. Doing a few hand signs, he blows. A gust of wind comes out and blasts the goo back. It lands on a grassy area and begins turning the area black. The cops gasp as they realize they've been saved. Fox, you saved us. One cop yelled out. Fox faces them. Where's Gordon? Before they can answer, said commissioner walks up to them. Here, Gordon said as he walks up to the group. What's the situation? Fox asked in business mode. His brother's in trouble and he will stop at nothing to save him. I assume you know Ivy is involved. At Naruto's nod, he continues. Once she broke out, she took over this abandoned library, and turned it into a fortress. You send anyone in? Naruto asked. Gordon points to an ambulance. A few medics load up a couple of cops. They got hit by a paralyzing toxin. Gordon shakes his head, should be fine in a few hours. Naruto nods, then looks back at the building. Vines cover most of the building. While the plants play sentry, he spots a busted window on the top floor. Seeing no sentry, he nods. I'm going in, Naruto said. Gordon nods. Be careful, kid. Naruto nods. Pumping chakra to his feet, he launches himself onto the roof. Still with chakra pumping to his feet, he walks down to the window. Once inside, Fox looks around the vine-covered halls. He takes out one of his swords, as several vines start moving. With a nod to himself, he walks into the mini-jungle. To be continued. Sorry for the short chapter. I don't usually like cliffhangers or anything like that, but I'm pretty tired. And I would probably lose my muse if I didn't post this now. I'm using a different writing style. This one seems to flow more natural than my other styles. Also be sure to check out my Naruto Tailspin crossover. I had fun writing it. Hope I can turn several other cartoons into crossovers. Chapter 7. Naruto. The Justice League Chapter 7. Poison Kills Part 2. Naruto ducks as a vine flies at him and spears the wall. Swinging the sword, he slices the vine. Green goo splashes onto the wall. Naruto sighs. One vine down. How many more to go? Looking down the hall, several vines spring up, each one sharper and deadlier than the last. Naruto gulps, then steals his resolve. Meanwhile in the Wayne Manor, sitting at a table sits two people. The red-haired one sips some of her tea. In front of her is a humanoid cheetah currently looking around nervously. A few drops of sweat drips from her fur. Quiet. Kushina takes a sip her tea. Quiet. Another slurp. Quiet. Then, the door opens. Alfred walks over to the table and pours some more tea into Kushina's cup. Kushina nods and takes another sip. As Alfred walks out and closes the door, Cheetah finally picks up her cup. She puts it to her nose and gives it a few sniffs. Seeing that it's safe, she puts it to her muzzle and lets the now cool liquid go down her throat. Kushina smiles. I'm here to talk to you about my son, she stated. Cheetah spits out her tea. What is this? An interrogate. Her eyes widen. The locked door. The quietness. The crazy red-haired woman smiling. She shakes her head. Your son. What about him? Kushina takes another quick sip. You've been living under the same roof as him and you've never spoken to him. Kushina places the tea onto the table. You're afraid of what he might think. Of course I'm afraid. Look at me, Cheetah shouted, her paws making a dent on the table as she slams them down. Kushina gives her a motherly smile. Let me tell you a story. Kushina started, getting Cheetah's attention. To better understand me and my son, and why we won't judge you. Wiping a tear from her eye, Cheetah calms herself and sits down. Slicing another vine, Naruto looks around the new area. Bookshelves line up the walls. Old and worn books lie scattered. Vines and other plants cover the place. He begins to walk, when an itch appears in his nose. He suddenly sneezes. Freezing in place, he holds his sword at the ready. It's quiet, a little too quiet, when a small rustling sound is heard, followed by many more. He curses. A wave of foliage appears. Like a tidal wave, it heads towards our hero. Quickly glancing around, he spots a door. And like lightning, he bounds for it, momentarily forgetting his bloodline. Reaching the door, he runs in and slams the door behind him. Vines begin to pierce the door. Some even come close to piercing him. He backs away from the dangerous plants and glances around the room. It appears to be a video room. Several of the screens show plant-infested rooms. 3 of the videos show the outside, with the cops still waiting. But one screen garners his attention. On that screen is Batman, laying still on the ground. Farther behind him, he spots Ivy, sitting on a throne made of plants. The goddess of green waves at the camera and gives a come-hither motion with a seductive smirk. Red chakra begins to seep out. I begin to slit, since he learned to control it. It's time to embrace it. An 11-year-old Naruto shivers as his mother draws a seal on his bare stomach. Cold, he started. What is this for? Kushina stops and looks at Naruto with a gentle smile. I know it's painful to hear. She starts writing again, but it is a part of you. After a few seconds, she puts the brush down and looks back at Naruto. This seal will help you control its chakra, but you won't have full control until you defeat him in battle. Naruto stares at her with disbelief. Skin turning pale. Defeat? He asked, still paling. She pecks him on the cheek. If I could do it, so can you. She then stands up and ruffles his hair. But I won't allow you to fight him until you get older. Naruto looks down as claws start poking out from his gloves. He gives it a flex, smiling as he spots another door. A way out. He walks out, all the while his red chakra keeps the plants away. Get too close and they start to burn. A few minutes of walking, he enters a large room. Large trees and vines intertwine in the middle. He spots the throne, but no Ivy. Spotting something black, he rushes over. Batman groans as he comes to. Blearily eyes look around. Naruto kneels down. Bruce. Naruto whispered as his red chakra dissipates. Ugh, kid. Batman lets out a cough. I've been poisoned. She won't say where the antidote is. Batman lets out a few more coughs, before closing his eyes and falling back. Naruto's eyes widen. Putting a clawed finger on Batman's neck, he sighs in relief as a pulse is felt. How lovely to see you again. A silky voice came from behind him. He stands up and balls up his fist. Red chakra seeps out. He quickly turns around and throws out his fist, only to stop at her next words. You kill me, Batman dies, she said as she gently lowers Naruto's fist, ignoring the burns, and walks up to him. Hips swaying seductively, she leans towards his face and starts to lower the mask. After lowering his mask, she gives his lip a bite, along with a little lick. Pulling back, she pulls up his mask. Tasty, she said simply. Naruto gives her a glare, eyes still in slits. Where's the antidote? Naruto asked. Ivy pouts. Whatever happened to that playboy, the one that kept hitting on me when we fought last time? She licks her lips, then smiles. Let's play a game. A game, Naruto yelled out as Ivy saunters up to him. A game of hide and seek. She begins to rub his chest. I've hidden the antidote somewhere in this building. If you can get it, I will leave this place, and the next time we meet, we won't have any hostages, or my pets, just us. Are you the seeker? Naruto asked as Ivy leans close to his face again and begins caressing his face and hair. A vine begins wrapping around his feet. Batman opens an eye and spots it, but can only manage to cough. If I catch you, she leans back. You're mine to do with as I please. The vine continues to wrap around the oblivious fox. And together, we will show the world that plants are the dominate species. Before Naruto can respond, a jerk is felt. Then, he is slung backwards and through a wall, and another. Ivy smiles and turns to the Dark Knight. I'm going to play with your friend. Her smirk turns deadly. Don't you go anywhere, Yahir. She laughs and saunters away. Plants grow over the places she steps. With another laugh, she summons a vine and pulls it out of the ground. Singing it as a whip, she gives it a crack. And let the fox hunt begin. Naruto groans as he throws off the debris covering him and stands up. He glances down and notices he landed on a large flower that cushioned his fall. Picking a piece of wood from his hair, he looks at the large hole in the wall. Didn't hurt as bad as it looked, thanks to that plant. He turns around and begins his search for the antidote. If I were a crazy hot female supervillain, where would I hide something valuable? His eyes widen, then he quickly shakes his head to rid himself of the thought. As much as I would love to look there, I highly doubt it would be there. Opening the door, he peeks out. Right. No crazy plant chick. Left. Only a few vines. A voice down the left causes his eyes to widen. Come out. Come out. Wherever you are, Ivy sang, before switching to a different song. Hush little baby. Don't say a word. Mama's gonna buy you a. A large vine suddenly impales the door down the hall. Quote. Mockingbird. Quote. Like a snake, the vine slithers down the hall. Naruto sweats, before an idea comes to him. Making a hand seals, he whispers. Cage Bunshin. Several clones appear. The snake, vine, continues to impale the remaining doors. If that mockingbird won't sing, she continued, Mama's gonna buy you a diamond ring. The clones spread out. If that diamond ring turns to brass, several vines appear behind the oblivious clones and Naruto. Mama's gonna have to kick some ass. And like that, all the clones are impaled, while Naruto is wrapped up to the chest in vines. She smirks as the clones, poof, out of existence. Turning to Naruto, she leans close. Looks like I win, she said. Then, he poofs out of existence. Wah! The real Naruto runs down the hall. Blood drips from a cut on his arm. He smirks, his idea worked. The memories of the clones come to him, including the clone he sent to look for the antidote. And it looks like it found it. Back at the throne room, Naruto enters the throne room. Looking to where he left Batman, he sighs in relief as he is still there and breathing. Rushing to the throne of plants, he spots the vial containing a blue liquid. Sitting in plain view on the throne. Looks like you win, Ivy said from behind him. Gone was her sultry attitude. She stands on a large pink flower. Why? Naruto started. Why did you make it so easy? You even created a large plant to cushion my fall. He turns around and is surprised to see a warm smile on her face. You were the only one to ever visit me at Arkham. She smiles as the flower begins to swallow her. I just wanted to talk, but the cops and Batman both attacked me. Unaware to them, Batman is listening, while trying to stay conscious. Angry at himself for attacking first. I just wanted to thank you. The flower covers her. We'll meet again, hopefully under private circumstances. With that said, both the flower and the other plants vanish. The large flower vanishes under the ground, while the other plants start to wilt and disappear. Looking around the now plant-free room, Naruto runs to Batman. Opening his mouth, Naruto pours the blue liquid into his mouth. Batman coughs as he swallows the liquid. Naruto gently helps Batman up and helps him walk. Batman groans and holds his head. How do you feel? Naruto asked. I've been better, Batman replied in a hoarse voice. With that, they both walk out and are greeted by the cops. Where's Ivy? Gordon said, walking up to the heroes. Escaped, Batman replied, using Naruto to support himself. Then we have to go after her. One cop yelled out. That won't be necessary, Naruto said, turning to look at the building. She never meant to hurt anyone today, merely wanted to talk to me. He looks back at the cops. Let's give her a chance. The cops look to each other, unsure. Gordon merely nods with a smile. Trusting Naruto's instinct, he also witnessed Naruto's power to change people. A few minutes with some Arkham inmates, and they were like different people. Another one done in my new writing style. Was originally gonna have the Kyuubi fight in this chapter, but I had it implied instead. We'll probably add Ivy to the harem, planning to have her have a change of heart. After all, that is Naruto's power. The power to change people. By the way, I hope I wrote her right. I also have an X-Men, Halo and a Pokemon story in the works. along with another Justice League story. And still trying to write the next Mystery Inc. chapter. Wow. 13,000 hits and on 141 faves and on 10 C2s. Anyway, tell me what you think of my new writing style, and tell me what you think of my Tailspin story. Chapter 8, Naruto. The Justice League Chapter 8, Kyuubi. Dripping is heard. A 16-year-old Naruto groans as he opens his eyes. He looks around, his vision blurry. As his vision comes back, he notices he's face down in a small puddle of water. He sputters as he tries to stand. Bones pop as he finally manages to stand. Looking around, he notices he's in a sewer. Spotting a glow, he looks up and spots a blue and red pipe traveling down the hall. He holds a hand on his head. Felt like mom hit me with a sledgehammer. He said to himself, remembering what happened minutes before. His mother said, "It's time," before she slammed a glowing hand into his stomach. A little warning would have been good. Shaking his head, he decides to follow the pipes. The red pipe pulses, like a heartbeat. After a few minutes of walking, he comes to a door. A door that has a kanji on it. A kanji for seal. Naruto starts to turn white. He's been dreading this day, for years. He gulps and grips the doorknob. With another gulp, he turns the knob and pushes the door open, only to come face to face with a forest, similar to the home he was born in, only without the large gates, and the village. He spots birds flapping their wings in the air, rabbits hopping around, even the sound of a snake slithering around. What is this? Naruto said to himself. He lifts his leg as a rabbit hops under him. He shakes his head, and looks around again. Looks like Wonderland. The sound of breathing causes him to freeze. The sound sounds like a wild animal. It's now or never. Deciding to face this, and then wake up and eat a truckload of ramen. He shakes his to rid himself of the though. He stalks forward. While walking, he looks down and gasps in surprise. The blue and red pipes are seen, only under the grass. He pulse of the pipes causes the grass to rise and lower, like a heartbeat. A few minutes of walking later, Naruto stops as a rustling is heard. Turning to a bush, he spots a rabbit trying to get away. Said rabbit looks at him, turns white, and speeds off. Naruto looks curious at that, unaware that something is behind him. He begins to walk. 4 extra footsteps are heard. He pauses. Damn, he whispered out. He suddenly leaps forward as a giant red paw crashes into where he was just at. His heart skips a beat. As he follows the paw, crimson and black eyes stare at him. Fangs glistening with saliva. Naruto backs away as the fox towers over him. So, the fox started, its voice causing the trees to shake. My container finally gives me a visit. Backing away, Naruto trips and lands on his backside. Why you're... Naruto said with a stutter. The Kyuubi. The large fox said, and I assume your dear mother told you why you're here. Naruto gives a nod as he manages to stand up. Why yes, he shakes his head, determined to finish this. We have to fight, so I can gain better control. The fox gives a laugh. He bends down to Naruto's level, his hot breath crashing into him. I'll make it easy on you. The fox backs away, and sits on his hindlegs. 9 tails waving behind him. You hit me once, even a paper cut, and my chakra is yours to control. The fox gives him a smirk, as a full moon appears in the sky, making his fangs glow in the light. Also giving the fox an ethereal appearance. The tails look like wings behind him. But the fangs kinda ruin that appearance. Don't. Naruto started. You have another form, a gender, something easier to fight. The fox gives a laugh. He uses one of his tails and picks up a rabbit. It struggles as the tail lifts it. Right above the fox's open maw. The tail releases it, and as the jaw closes, a crunching sound is heard. Bone cracking and flesh grinding. Naruto turns his head. The large fox swallows with a gulp. A form, you say? The Kyuubi said, licking his teeth with his tongue. He then brings his paw to his mouth, and uses the sharp claw to finish picking his teeth. I'm a chakra conduit. I'm a container that holds the Jubi's chakra, and thanks to Kushina, he will never be free again. Now, back to your question. The fox removes his paw, and spits. A lump of meat lands in front of Naruto. This is supposed to be my mind, Naruto thought, while looking on in disgust. But it's like he rules this place. The fox chuckles, hearing his thoughts. My form. I can literally be anyone. Bones crack as the fox shrinks. Naruto watches in amazement. Red hair pops out of its skull. Tails vanish. A cloud of white smoke pops out. A few seconds later, a female figure comes out. Hello son, the woman said. Naruto looks on. Then, dear God, he yelled. Put some clothes on. The female fox chuckles. I thought that would freak you out. Its form shifts again, this time quicker. Now, a familiar man walks out, in a business suit. Geez Naruto, slow down on the ramen. The man said. Naruto shakes his head, glad that Bruce at least has clothes on. But seeing his mother naked, just may scar him. What form are you going to fight me with? Naruto asked, shaking off that image. The fox smirks as it shifts again. This time, growing larger. Tails pop out. What? The large fox stretches, glad to be back in its original form. The other forms are considered cheating. The fox said as it walks around Naruto. Cheating. Naruto screamed in his head. Let's get started, shall we? The fox stated, as its tails rush forward. Shit, Naruto yelled, as he dodges the tails. He ducks as a tail flies past and impales a tree. Naruto glances to the impaled tree, then to the fox. An idea slowly forms, but how to pull it off? His thoughts are interrupted as it begins to get hot. A little too hot. His eyes widen as a large fireball heads straight at him. He quickly vanishes in a blur of yellow, just as the fireball destroys half the forest. Didn't your mother teach you anything? The fox yelled. Always be aware of your surroundings. The fox picks up a tree with a tail, and tosses it full speed at Naruto, who just appeared outside the burnt forest. Never let your guard down. Nah. Naruto leaps to the side as the tree narrowly misses him. A small cut appears on his cheek. Fast, Naruto thought, then wipes the cut from his cheek. He stares at it in shock. He shakes his head, and remembers his plan. Time to put it in action. He charges forward, only to see trees being flung at him, like a Gatling gun. They whistle as they travel at high speed in the air, pumping chakra to his feet. He leaps up and begins to run across the thrown trees. He leaps to the next tree. It continues like that as he gets closer to the large fox. As he runs, he puts his hand in front of him, palm up. Slowly, something begins to materialize. After a few seconds, he leaps onto another tree, then bounces off of it like a pinball. Landing onto a larger tree the fox just thrown, he looks down at his hand. A large Fuma shuriken appears, a blue glow surrounds it. It begins to spin in his hand. With another leap, he throws it. The spinning Fuma shuriken flies at high velocity towards the towering fox. It gets closer. As it gets within a hair's length, it veers to the left, completely missing the target. Naruto curses, not noticing a tree as it approaches. It slams into him. He lands on the ground and rolls. Groaning, he sits up, a little disoriented. Turning his head, he spots the giant fox towering over him. Too bad. The fox started, and I had hope too. He lifts his paw, claws extended. Hope Kushina can forgive me. He brings the paw down. Naruto closes his eyes. A few seconds go by. Feeling no pain, he opens his eyes only for them to widen in shock. The paw is being held back by another hand. A hand that belongs to the man his mother always talked about. The fourth Hokage, said man, gives Naruto a smile. I'm proud of you, son. The man stated, looks like you won. The fox bares his fangs. What are you on about, Minato? Minato throws the large fox's paw down. Your son lost. Look again, Minato said with a smirk. The Kyuubi tilts its head as it looks at its shoulder, and gasps. Naruto also looks at it. As everything goes quiet, a dripping sound is heard. And another. A puddle forms on the green grass. It all comes from a cut on Kyuubi's shoulder. What? The fox gasped out. The chakra. Minato turns to his son. Was wind-natured. Naruto stands up, and slowly approaches his father. Minato braces himself for a punch, or something. Instead he felt a pair of arms embracing him. Opening his eyes, He sees his son hugging him. I forgave you, Naruto said. Minato starts to feel a wet spot growing. A long time ago. Minato smiles and returns the hug. The fox simply turns its head and focuses on a nearby rabbit. After about 5 minutes, Naruto pulls away. How? He asked. How are you here? I sealed half of my soul, along with half of the Kyuubi. He answered. Nobody knows, not even Kushina. But why didn't you appear earlier? Naruto asked. The seal would only activate under 2 conditions. Minato started, as they turn and watch the large fox chase the small rabbits. The first is if you say control and the seal is close to breaking. The second is when you face the fox in a battle of control. Naruto nods. Then after a few seconds. Did you? He started. See your memories. Minato finished. Afraid so. I can't believe I put my faith in them. But he turns to Naruto and ruffles his hair, similar to what Bruce does. I'm glad Kushina used that jutsu, and there is also something I want you to do. Anything. What is it? Naruto asked, glad his father is proud of him. Tell your mother, I love her. Minato started. And tell her, the god of this world granted me passage. And I'll be waiting for her. But I hope it's not for a very long time. Naruto nods, a few tears still in his eyes. I will, he said. Are you about to vanish? Minato flexes his arm. I'm not sure. He scratches the back of his head. I estimate my chakra will remain for at least a week, and since you're here, I can teach you all about seals, starting with the Kyuubis. A door suddenly appears next to the entrance of the sewer. What's that? Naruto asked, seeing the door. That's a library. The 4th Hokage started. It contains some jutsu that not even your mother knew about. It contains jutsu ideas I never go to try. He smiles down at his son. I want you to write them down in the real world, and have your mother help. He then snaps his fingers as he remembers something. And I have some taijutsu you can give to that Bruce boy. After a few minutes, father and son just stand together, admiring the forest. Then Naruto remembers what his father said before. Wait, you said you sealed half of the Kyuubi? Naruto asked. Minato smirks, wondering when he would pick it up. I sealed both away. They were yin and yang. Minato said. Each tailed beast were created by Jubi's chakra, but the Kyuubi was the one that was created by Jubi's malice. Minato shakes his head. Every creature has a yin and yang, and I sealed one in a heavily sealed scroll. But the scroll wouldn't hold the entire being. They both go back to watching the fox chase rabbits. Which one is sealed in me? Naruto asked, remembering the intimidating fox from before. Ah, that, Minato said with a smirk, is the good half. Silence. Crunching is heard. Naruto turns around and gags. To be continued. This is a flashback chapter. Was going to have Naruto spending the day with Cheetah, but I cut it. Hope you like my version of Kyuubi. Frightening and helpful at the same time. And for some reason, I feel very comfortable with this writing style. My rant. For those that read my Negima story and have a problem with the pairing, I didn't say it was a Naruto-Asuna pairing. Said I was thinking about it. I only put it in the Asuna section. Because that pairing always appeals to me. And for age, Naruto looks around. 17/18 and acts that age. He may be older than most, but he still acts like he did ages ago. And for those that didn't understand why Naruto would tell people he just met about something personal. Hinata was Naruto's mate partner, and she will remain with him forever, even if it's not in the physical sense. She will influence him if she thinks it's for the best. I was going to post this chapter sooner, but I was writing on my laptop, and it kept crashing when I was trying to upload. And since my laptop doesn't have a flash drive, I just hooked up my PSP and saved the stories to it, then transferred them to my desktop. Chapter 9, Naruto. The Justice League Chapter 9, One Step at a Time. The good half, Naruto said to his father, watching the large menacing fox, pretend he's Godzilla, and the rabbits are the small helpless people. And for some reason, small buildings have erupted from the ground. The large fox knocks over a building and chomps down on a rabbit. You're kidding. Afraid not, son, Minato said just before both him and Naruto suddenly shields their eyes as the fox lets out a powerful stream of fire, which burns the bunnies to a crisp. Blinking at the fiery scene, Naruto turns to his father. Any chance of the halves merging back together? He glances at the large fox from the corner of his eyes, only to see him lying on his back, patting his stomach. Your worlds apart, the yellow flash replied with a shake of the head. Not even a summon can enter this world from ours. That jutsu is the only way to cross a dimensional barrier. Even if someone got a hold of that jutsu, the chances of them entering this world is less than 5%. He then turns to look at his son. And I forgot to mention this, but there is a slight side effect about having the Kyuubi in you. What is it? Naruto asks, worried about what might happen. Minato nods towards a large sakura tree that Naruto didn't remember being there. Around the tree, sakura petals fall. Next to it is a small lake, a few sakura petals floating in it. Both father and On walk away from the now snoring kitsune. Minato continues to walk in silence, while Naruto becomes increasingly worried. Once they reach the lake and sakura tree, Minato looks over the lake. Naruto bends down and dips a hand in the water and notices how real it feels. Son, Minato began, startling Naruto and almost making him fall in. Holding in a chuckle, Minato continues in a serious tone. I'm afraid that due to the Kyuubi, your life has been lengthened. Naruto looks at his reflection in the lake, completely shocked. He blinks a few times, before looking back at his reflection. A sakura petal hits the water, causing a ripple to shoot through the reflection. What? Naruto managed to say after a few moments. What about mom? What if I fall in love? Glancing to his right, he spots his father's reflection next to his. How long? I'm not sure, Minato whispered. Could be anywhere from 5 years longer to 100 years. Or you could be a true immortal. I don't know. He spots Naruto closing his eyes with a deep sigh. As for falling in love, you know how your canines lengthen when you put chakra through them. Naruto gives a small nod, remembering on Halloween that he didn't even need to buy fake vampire teeth. When you are truly in love, send chakra to your teeth and bite down on your love's neck. They will gain your life expectancy and live as long as you do. Naruto opens his eyes and turns to his father's reflection. And mom? Naruto had to ask. A chuckle escapes Minato's lips. Now, that wouldn't exactly be right, if you know what I mean. Minato laughs again as Naruto quickly turns away with a frown and a blush. Besides, your mother would likely turn you down. Knowing her, she would probably find a way to keep herself from aging. Naruto gives a laugh at that. After a few minutes of silence, aside from a snore coming from across the area, Naruto continues to stare at his reflection, until a large ripple makes it hard to see it. Looking up, he spots his father walking towards the middle of the lake. What are you doing? Naruto asks. Preparing to train you. Minato sits on top of the water in a meditation fashion. But mom said I can't psychically train in the mindscape. Naruto told his father while pumping chakra to his feet and joining his father on the water. That's true, son, as Minato closes his eyes, a blue aura surrounds him. But you can train your mind here, to prepare for when you learn a jutsu in the real world. Slowly, droplets of water begin to float out of the water and float upwards. Naruto lets out a small gasp as a weight presses down on him. Before I show you the library or teach you about seals, I want you to meditate. Meditate, Naruto asked once the pressure lifts off him. Looking towards his father, he notices that the aura or visible chakra is flowing steady around him. With a shaky sigh, Naruto slowly sits in the water, carefully managing his chakra output. Since he doesn't want to launch himself like a rocket, Naruto closes his eyes and does what Bruce and his mother taught him to do. But after a few minutes of nothing happening, Naruto lets out a grunt of frustration. Eyes scrunched together, Minato opens one eye and smiles at his son. Like looking in a mirror. His smile turns into a frown as he spots water bubbling under his son. Well now, that can't be good. After he thought that, he suddenly blinks as a gush of water explodes from where his son was just sitting. Come, son, Minato called to his burnt son. A twitch appears on the corner of Minato's lips. Naruto grumbles as he follows his father to where the door to the library is located. His clothes slightly singed, hair both wet and contains a few burnt spots. Minato Oh meanwhile smiles at his dripping wet son. I did the same under Jiraiya, and Kakashi did the same under me. He frowns as they reach the door. But I was hoping Kakashi would be the one to teach him, guess it can't be helped. And with that, Minato grabs the doorknob and opens the door. Naruto shields his eyes as a light hits them. After a few seconds, he lets his eyes adjust to the brightness. Looking around the room, he lets out a gasp. It looks just like the library at home. Naruto walks over to a shelf and grabs a book. He reads the title, History of Tsuchi no Kuni. Putting that book back, he picks up another one with Tsuchi no Kuni on the title. Tsuchi no Kuni's bingo book. He places that one back and walks further through the unlimited number of shelves. He pauses as another book catches his eye. Minato just watches on in silence. Naruto picks up the book. Kenjutsu, featuring moves by Zabuza, Baki, and Asuma. I don't understand. It appears that his is one of the gifts the Shinigami mentioned before I sealed part of my soul in you. Minato asked, looking slightly confused as well. Look at the date. This is at least 10 or 11 years after we left our world. Naruto flips through the book until he reaches the last page. A note falls out, which is caught by Naruto. Naruto reads the note, his eyes widen as he finishes. Why would the kami of our world put so much faith into me? Minato glances around. That a good question. How did that get here? Did Shinigami-sama send it? Or did Kami? Naruto places the note back into he book and places it back on the shelves. He continues to walk through the library, looking for more gifts Kami may have left him. He pauses as he notices something. Why aren't there any scrolls around? Naruto asked, picking up another book. Minato shakes his head. This is your mind. It just transformed the scrolls into something you are more familiar with. Naruto nods as he continues to walk. That is, until he spots an orange book at the end of the shelf. Without really thinking, he picks it up. This looks like the book Mom reads, only this is a newer issue. He glances to his father, who is looking at some of the books in confusion. Dad. Minato turns his head to regard his son. Is there any way to summon these books to the real world? Minato gives a smirk as he returns to glancing at the books. With seals, anything is possible. Naruto also gives a smirk as he opens the orange book and begins reading. Naruto yawns as he sits up. Throwing the covers off, he glances to the spot next to him. Only to notice Vixen gone. Must have gone shopping as usual, Naruto said as he stretches. He glances to his alarm clock. Sunday morning. Perfect day to work in the garage. Walking out of his room and down the hallway in Wayne Manor, he pauses as he nears Cheetah's room. Listening in, he chuckles as he hears her snoring softly. Hope she likes what I did for her. He gives a smirk as he walks to the garage. An hour later, Cheetah stumbles out of her room. Woken up by the sounds of an engine revving. Rubbing the sleep from her eyes, she stalks down the hall and towards her destination, the kitchen. Once reaching the kitchen, she spots Alfred sitting on a stool reading a book. Cheetah clears her throat, which causes Alfred to look up startled. Ah, Mistress Cheetah, Alfred greeted, trying to calm his fast heartbeat. One would think that living with two ninjas in the dark night, he would be used to getting startled by now. What can I get you? Cheetah takes a seat on a stool as Alfred moves to the fridge. Raw meat, kinda bloody. Cheetah looks down ashamed at what she said. Alfred pulls out a slab of meat from the fridge and smiles as he places the slab on a plate in front of Cheetah. Mistress Kushina prepared it for when you woke. He notices Cheetah looking down with her eyes closed as she grabs the slab of meat and bits into it. Blood drips down her chin. There's nothing to be ashamed of. Us nor the Justice League will ever judge you. Cheetah pauses mid-bite. Kushina takes a sip of her water as she looks at Cheetah, who is currently staring at the floor. Now you see. Kushina places her glass down on the table and reaches over to Cheetah. A warm smile spreads across her face as she places a hand on Cheetah's. We are incapable of judging you. Even though you did this to yourself. Kushina removes her hand. Cheetah looks up and meets Kushina's eyes. Doesn't change that fact. Kushina give a wider smile. Welcome to the family. Cheetah gives a fanged smile which looks more like a predatory smile, but Kushina doesn't look fazed by it. After several minutes of silence, Cheetah nods to herself. Gee, that means a lot. With that said, they both enjoy each other's company in silence. The sounds of them sipping their drinks. Cheetah brings her cup to her mouth only to pause as a question enters her mind. There's something else. Kushina takes a sip of her drink. Yes, that girl Vixen. She mentioned something about your son, and a harem, Cheetah said simply, question mark hanging over her head. If Kushina wasn't so composed, she would have did a spit take. She tilts her head as she regards the question. Well, I'm just happy if he's happy, she lets out a sigh. The fur above Cheetah's right eye raises, indicating a raised eyebrow, even if he falls for multiple girls. She turns her head to the side and mumbles. Glad Jiraiya isn't here. Cheetah just looks confused since she heard Kushina perfectly clear. Cheetah wipes her mouth with the napkin Alfred provided her with. Where's everyone? She asked as she looks around. I believe Mistress Mari and Mistress Kushina are out testing a new invention. Master Bruce, I believe, is at a meeting. And, Alfred picks up the bloody plate and drops it into the sink. As for Naruto, the sound of an engine revving is heard. I believe he's in the garage, as usual. All right, thanks, Alfred. Cheetah quickly bolts from the kitchen and rushes to the garage. As she gets closer, the sounds of music gets louder and louder. In the garage, Naruto has his head buried in the engine of his new Dodge Challenger. He stands up with a smirk, as the song, I'm Still Here, by John Resnick blazes from the car radio. Naruto picks up a rag and wipes the grease from his face. Bending back down, he continued to work on his car. He smirks as a presence is felt. Don't just stand there, hand me that socket wrench. Naruto called out to Cheetah, who was standing in the doorway. Cheetah quickly walks over to the tools and after searching through them, she picks up a ratchet. This? Cheetah asked. Peeking out from under the hood, Naruto gives a nod. That's the one. Walking over to Hikaru, she hands the tool to Naruto. Deciding to look around the area, she notices a lot of motorcycles. You must like bikes. After she said that, she lets out a small curse. After living under the same roof, that's the only thing she could think of to say. Kind of, Naruto replied with a chuckle. Guess it's in my nature, to feel the wind on my face, like running really fast. Cheetah walks over to a nearby bike and admires the kanji and design. I can relate. It also feels good blowing through my fur. Naruto leans back from the hood and looks towards Cheetah. Are all of these yours? The bikes in this Dodge are. The others are my mom's and Bruce's. He takes the rag and wipes his face again. And the Lotus car in the back is also Bruce's. He likes to impress girls. Cheetah lets out a chuckle which actually shocks her. Sorry, she softly whispered. Naruto slams the hood down on the car. He walks over to Cheetah and puts a hand on her shoulder. Don't be. You should laugh more often. Cheetah gives him a small fang smile. Hey, look at us. The first thing we talked about was cars and laughing. After a few minutes, they both notice Naruto's hand is still on her shoulder. With a small cough, Naruto removes his hand. Why don't? Deciding it's time to show her what he did for her, he walks back over to his car. Why don't we take a drive? Naruto opens the passenger side door. The song, Gifts and Curses, by Yellowcard begins playing on the radio. Where? Cheetah asked as she stops at the passenger door. Naruto nods his head towards the open door. Just trust me, Naruto simply replied. Deciding to trust him, Cheetah slips into the seat. Naruto shuts the door with a smile and rushes to the driver's side. Once inside, he gives his passenger a warm smile and turns up the volume on the radio. And for once in her life, the noise doesn't bother her. She gives a warm smile back. Metropolis. Clark Kent pushes up high-s glasses as he walks through the Daily Planet. He gives a nod of the head as he passes Jimmy Olsen, who is currently looking at a picture of Fox in awe. Clark chuckles, but continues to walk, until he stops at Lois' desk. Lois is busy using a magnifying glass on a newspaper clipping. HMMs. Hey, Lois, Clark greeted, only to see Lois concentrating hard. What's up? Lois regards Clark without moving her head. I think I may have a lead on Athena's gem. Clark shakes his head, remembering that Samurai had the gem last, but when they searched him, the gem was gone. And, Clark urged, curious, you're not going to like it, Lois said as she hands the newspaper clipping over to Clark. Clark looks over the paper, only for his eyes to widen at whose picture he sees. Somewhere deep in the city of Metropolis, Lex Luthor leans back in his chair and plops his feet on the desk. A smirk adorning his face as he addresses the shadows. It's good to see you again, old friend, Lex greeted. In the shadows, a mask is barely seen, but one could tell that one side of the mask is orange. You're alive, and not in prison. Lex raises an eyebrow at that. Damn, looks like I lost that bet. Yes, well, that's very funny. Lex removes his feet from the desk and digs through his pocket. So, how are things going with the Titans? Same as you in the Justice League. The figure replied. Haha, what if told you of a way to trample them? Lex said with a dark smirk as he pulls out a small object. I would say, what's the catch? The figure said, before mumbling. As long as it's better than our last confrontation with the League. Lex continues smirking, unaware of the figure's mumbling. He pulls out a purple gem, that's hooked up to a gold chain. A small string of lightning is seen for a few seconds on the gem. To think, this powerful object was hiding in the Gotham Museum of all places. Do you know what it is? Fancy jewelry, the figure grunted out. From his position, he can still feel the power from the object. Lex pulls up the gem to eye level and gives it a sensual rub. Oh, it's much more than that. A sudden pain in his heart causes Lex to grab his chest. With a painful smirk, he brings the gem to his chest. Lightning flashes from it, causing Lex to jump. Lex gives a deep laugh. This will keep me alive longer than some pills will. I'm happy for you, but how will this help me? The figure asked. Not only will this keep me alive, Lex gives a cough. But with the energy constantly being pumped through this tiny gem, it could power 3 Metropolis. Lex stands up and moves to the large window behind him, and also wondering how the figure can still be covered in shadows. He shakes his head from the thought. Think of what else it could do. He glances at the figure from the corner of his eyes. Pump lightning through that toothpick of yours. Power a robot army that can last 20 years. Even bring the apocalypse. An endless possibility. The figure's mask tilts to the side. What do you say? I plan on making batteries that can hold an enormous amount of its power. Lex turns to fully address the shadow. Then I will distribute them all over. After a minute of silence, the figure speaks up. How much? Lex grows a grin. For you, nothing. Hey, pleasure doing business with you. The figure turns to the door. His sword gleams when the sunlight hits it. A pleasure. Lex turns back to the window. Maybe I should invite the Joker next. What follows next is Lex Luthor laughing. Mercy Graves walks into the room and waits for Lex to finish his laughter. 10 miles outside Gotham, city of Valor, a crimson Dodge Challenger drives slowly through the city streets. People all smile and wave as the car passes. Where are we? Cheetah asks as she looks through the window. The city of Valor. This small city was built by old school heroes years ago. The car stops in a small parking lot. Naruto turns to Cheetah once he kills the engine. Everyone forgot about those heroes, except for the people in this town. They will never be forgotten. He opens the door. Come on. Wait. Cheetah called to the blonde ninja. Trust me. Naruto closes the door. Cheetah glances at the handle on the door and hesitantly grabs it. With a slow inhale, she opens it. Outside, Naruto gives a smirk as Cheetah steps out. That smirk turns into a frown as he senses fear coming from her. Is this some sick joke? She quietly whispered. Naruto sighs. I promise, I would never do anything to make you feel bad. He holds out his hand. Just trust me. Cheetah slowly reaches forward and places her hand on Naruto's hand. Naruto grabs it and pulls her forward. Steadying herself, she gives a small glare Naruto's way. Together, they begin to walk forward. Still hand in hand. Not that they notice, they walk through the street. People give both Naruto and Cheetah waves and smiles, which confuses her. After a few more seconds of walking, a small red-haired girl walks up to Cheetah. The girl tugs on Cheetah's fur. Wah! Cheetah managed to get out. The girl holds out her hand. Hesitantly, Cheetah also holds out her hand. After the child drops something into Cheetah's hand, she takes off with a wide smile. Naruto stands to the side, he gives Cheetah's other hand a squeeze. Opening the hand, she gasps in surprise as an orange origami cheetah is resting in her hand. A tear falls from her eye. As she looks around, she notices more people giving her smiles. Turning to Naruto, she asks the question. Why? Cheetah asked. You really want to know? Naruto replied with a smile. Cheetah nods and looks into Naruto's blue eyes, as he begins explaining. What happened? A week ago, firefighters and police officers rush back and forth out of a large burning building. The intense heat from the flames cause people further away to even shield their face. A police officer with smut on his face walks over to a firefighter. I think everyone's accounted for. The officer told him. The firefighter gives a nod, and several hoses fire water full force onto the blazing inferno. A sudden explosion from the first story causes everyone to move back. A sudden scream from the onlookers causes everyone to turn in that direction. A woman suddenly drops her groceries as she looks around the area in a frenzy. Tears threatening to spill out. Where's my daughter? She screamed, causing the police and firefighters' blood to run cold. But before they can do anything, the sound of concrete cracking is heard. Turning back to the inferno, they are surprised at what they see. Cheetah, in a crouching position, with cracked concrete around her feet. She stands up and stares at the burning building, glancing around for any possible route in or out. The fire reflects off her fur, causing her fur to have an ethereal orange glow. Without a word to anyone, she rushes into the building. Wait! The police officer called after her. Inside the building, Cheetah continues to search for the child. Ignoring the flames licking and singing her fur, she sniffs the air, but curses as the smoke and flames cover up the scent of anything else. Glancing to her left, a flaming beam is blocking the entrance. To her right, is a stairway that is covered in flames and falling apart. Using her enhanced hearing, a faint scream from above is heard, along with a cracking sound. Using her quick reflexes, she dodges to the stairway just as the ceiling crashes down where she was just at. Glancing back, she lets loose another curse as the ceiling continues to fall. The building gives a wobble. Continuing up the stairway, the scream gets louder. Hang on, Cheetah yelled, flames burning her feet. Once she reaches the floor the scream came from, she leaps off the stairway, just as it gives out. Taking most of the ceiling with it, she takes a look around the area. Flames continue to burn through the floors and walls. All of the doors are closed, with flames burning through them. Hearing a faint help coming from the third door on her right, she rushes forward, but having to leap forward as the floor starts to give way. She lets out a grunt as she lands, but continues to run to the door. She reaches the door. Flames have already attacked the door like parasites. Hearing another help, only much weaker, she inhales. With a determined growl, she kicks the door, and it shatters like glass. Splitters and burning pieces scatter. With the door broken down, the room full of smoke is sucked through the doorway like a vacuum. Spotting a red-haired little e-girl with freckles huddled in the corner, Cheetah rushes forward. As she reaches for the girl, said girl weakly looks up, only for her to back away frightened. Cheetah flinches, but doesn't back away. I'm not going to hurt you, she said, trying to calm the girl. I will take you to your mommy. Mommy, the girl weakly asked. You promise? The flames begin to burn around the room. The floor begins to crack. I promise, Cheetah told her with a smile. Come, let's get you out of here. Cheetah wraps an arm around the little girl. Instead of the girl flinching, she wraps her arms tighter. Why around Cheetah? Like a child would her parent. Cheetah smiles, then frowns as she looks around. That's one problem solved. Now to solve the next one. She closes her eyes as she pictures the fountain on of the building from looking at it from the outside. The stairs are out. Can't jump from the window. Might hurt the child. That only leaves the roof, since the building is very close to another building. One could easily jump from one building to the next. Cheetah looks around the room to figure out how to get up there, with the stairs out and roof collapsing. Her eyes stop on the fire escape. With a burst of speed, she reaches the fire escape. She steps onto the platform, only for the steel to burn her feet. She holds in a curse. Looking down, she growls as everything below them is a burning inferno that is slowly reaching upwards. Hang on, sweetie. Obeying her savior, the little girl grips a little more tightly. Gripping the ladder, Cheetah begins climbing one-handed to the top, ignoring the heated steel and the flames seeping through the walls and windows. After a few agonizing minutes, they finally reach the roof. The building shudders a little. Quickly looking around, she spots a building nearby close enough to jump to. Tilting her head, she looks down at the passenger in her arms. Close your eyes, and keep on holding on. After saying that, Cheetah holds the girl closer. They approach the edge of the roof. Another explosion causes the building to shake. Steadying herself, she bends down, then using her legs to propel her forward, she leaps to the other building. Just as flames explode from the roof's door, along with the roof finally giving out, down below, the little girl's mother lets out a scream of anguish as the building begins collapsing. Damn, the policeman whispered, his hands balled into tight fists. A few painful minutes passed. The building has been reduced to a pile of flaming rubble. The onlookers look away, each trying to hide their tears. The mother drops to the hard ground on her knees, racked with sobs. Over the sound of her sobs, the pitter-patter of footsteps approaches. Following the sound, they spot the little girl and the savior walking past the burning debris. Cheetah has a hand on the girl's head and gives it a ruffle. The little girl rushes towards her downed mother with tears running down her cheek. She embraces her mother. Baby, thank the heavens, the mother yelled, also crying. She grips her daughter tightly, afraid it might be a dream. Mommy, she saved me. The daughter points to Cheetah, only to see her gone, before anyone could thank her. Who was she? A fireman asked, looking around for any signs of the woman. Meanwhile, Cheetah walks down an alley. She glances back as several happy yells are heard. As she continues down the alley, her fur begins to retract and is replaced with a crimson suits. The tail and the rest of her back is replaced with a pair of katanas. The breast area grows small, and is replaced with a black circle with a silhouette of a fox with 9 tails. The ears and muzzle retreat back and is replaced with blonde hair and a mask that covers the lower half of his face. He-Man pops his neck and dusts off the soot from his hair. The things I do for love. The man coughs and is surprised when smoke flies out. You did that, for me? Cheetah asked, as a warm feeling enters her chest. I told you to trust me, didn't I? Naruto said with a laugh as kids begin crowding them. I helped you with this, and now, you must let your fear go, and embrace the person I know you can become. Naruto pats a child on the head. One step at a time. Mom, Vixen, Bruce, Alfred, the League, and me will be right behind you. A few tears drip from her eyes as the warm feeling in her heart gets more intense. I will embrace the new me, Cheetah yelled out, as the kids tackle them both. To be continued. Sorry for the long wait, but I've been very busy and been too tired to write. So I wanted to post this story before they cut off my internet. Great. I'm going to be sad all week. And also, sorry for the flashbacks. I'm addicted to them, but they do get the jobs done. And I was going to do like a movie and have Cheetah look into Naruto's eyes and have his eyes reflect the incident. That's kinda what I went with. And the chapter title was going to be Cheetah's Date, B. The title I ultimately went with makes more sense, I think. And as for the songs, I wanted to give a feeling of the atmosphere through song. Like I did on Brutal Legend. Next update will probably be Naruto, Beyond, Crouching Tigress and Naruto and Garfield. And for a list of what I'm planning to write or my ideas, check my profile. I'm also doing a Sly Cooper story, which I've been wanting to do for a while and will try to work on the next Fox Mage chapter. The pairing will be Eva instead of Asuna. Also, expect a few straight Naruto stories that take place on the ninja world. They won't be crossovers and they take place after canon.